Chapter 1593. Yu Yin's strength was enough to do whatever she wanted in the Sky Martial Continent. But even so, Longao would not let Yu Yin follow him. Longao was no longer the same as before with regards to the situation in the Sky Martial Continent. Not to mention the hidden starry sky martial artists and the heavenly Dao, just the Nirvana martial artists alone could kill Yu Yin. It did not matter if he was in danger, but he could not let Yu Yin take the risk with him. Yu Yin, if you don't want me to worry, don't be so willful. Looking at the lover in front of him, Yu Yin wanted to say something, but in the end, she did not say anything and swallowed it back. If you don't leave me, I will be with you in life and death. Be careful, I will wait for your return. He nodded. Dragon Valley back Mountain Forbidden Grounds, an extremely secluded place. Longao sat on the ground and cultivated quietly. Strength was everything. Longao mainly cultivated the 9-cycle reincarnation technique. He had already successfully broken through to the 4th cycle, but there were still 5 cycles left. Longao was filled with anticipation for the 9-cycle reincarnation technique that he cultivated. First cycle of reincarnation, not entering the Yellow Springs. Second cycle of reincarnation, spatial teleportation. Third cycle of reincarnation, reincarnation clone. Fourth cycle of reincarnation, reincarnation heavenly eye. What kind of divine ability would the 5th cycle produce? Other than cultivating the 9-cycle reincarnation technique, Longao cultivated even more diligently so that he could break through his current realm in the shortest time possible. His cultivation had already broken through to the peak God Emperor realm. Once he broke through, he would be able to reach the Nirvana realm. There were still 9 months before the 1-year agreement. According to Long Fu, in the remaining 9 months, even if he had the chance to break through to the Nirvana realm, he should not do so. The reason was simple. His cultivation speed was too fast. If he continued to cultivate like this, his foundation would not be stable. Once he broke through to the Nirvana realm, it might not be a good thing. There was only one thing that Longao was worried about. If he missed the chance to break through to the Nirvana realm 9 months later, when his cultivation had completely stabilized and he did not have the chance to break through, wouldn't he suffer a huge loss? He was in a dilemma. After thinking for a long time, in the end, Longao still decided to believe in Long Fu and stabilize his cultivation first. Even if he had the chance to break through to the Nirvana realm, he definitely couldn't break through. Longao, what do you plan to do next? Xilin's figure suddenly appeared. What should he do? I still have a 1-year agreement with the 3 super forces. There are about 9 months left. I plan to use the remaining time to stabilize my realm. After 9 months, I will try to break through to the Nirvana realm. This was an urgent matter. Longao was very clear in his heart that if he was unable to break through to the Nirvana realm after 9 months, how would he deal with the 3 super forces? Even if his cultivation had broken through to the Nirvana realm, he might not be able to contend against the 3 super forces. At the very least, his chances of success would be higher. Longao, the situation in the Tianwu continent is becoming more and more complicated. At this point, Xiling did not continue. However, Longao understood the meaning behind his words. It was somewhat solemn and somewhat sighed. Longao already knew what Xiling had said. Longao was very curious. He did not know why Xiling suddenly mentioned this. Could there be another meaning behind Xiling's words? Xiling seemed to be able to guess Longao's thoughts. After thinking for a while, he said, Longao, after your cultivation has broken through to the Nirvana realm, I hope you can find the Reincarnation Tribe. The Reincarnation Tribe is a legendary existence. Even if I have the Reincarnation Disc, it will not be easy to find the Reincarnation Tribe. Longao, I believe you know something about the Reincarnation Tribe. Although I am not very sure whether you are from the Reincarnation Tribe, since you have the Reincarnation Disc, once you find the Reincarnation Tribe and obtain their inheritance, there will be a place for you in the starry sky in the future. He nodded. Since Xiling said so, Longao did not say anything more. When his cultivation has broken through to the starry sky realm, then he will start to look for the Reincarnation Tribe. Longao, I know you have a lot of questions in your heart, but I still can't tell you. He smiled helplessly. As Xiling said, Longao had a lot of questions in his heart, especially about the origin of Xiling and Bailing. Both of them were level 9 starry sky cultivators. Without guessing, Longao knew that their identities were not simple at all. Not only that, what Longao was most concerned about was who could seriously injure two level 9 Starry Sky Jianling. It was easy to imagine what kind of person the two Jianling's enemy was. There was no doubt that the two's enemy was also a level 9 Starry Sky Cultivator. His strength must be far above the two of them. Otherwise, the two of them would not have been seriously injured by the enemy. Since Xiling did not want to say more, Longao did not ask anymore. Longao, with your current strength, even if you know, it will not do you much good. Under the starry sky, all are ants. Even Nirvana realm cultivators are just ants. Only when you step into the starry sky realm can you be considered to have stepped into the real door of martial arts. Therefore, you still have a long way to go. Under the starry sky, all are ants. It was very helpless. In the eyes of countless martial artists in the Tianwu continent, Nirvana realm cultivators were already standing at the peak of martial arts. After all, the divine mathematician and the heavenly Tao were too high. Not everyone could reach them. However, Longao's cultivation had already reached the peak of the God Emperor realm. There were some things that he already knew. In front of a starry sky cultivator, everything was fleeting clouds. Even a level 1 starry sky cultivator could easily destroy the Tianwu continent, let alone the level 8 starry sky cultivator, the heavenly Tao, and the level 9 starry sky cultivator, the divine mathematician. Xiling, my cultivation has already reached the God Emperor realm. I believe that with my talent, it won't be difficult for me to break through to the Nirvana realm in the future. I don't want to ask about some things, but I really want to know about the starry sky. Since things have already come to this, I hope you can answer me truthfully. Originally, Longao did not want to ask, but after these few times, Longao wanted to know what the starry sky was. Longao had an intuition that the Tianwu continent was not the end. As for whether his guess was right or not, it depended on Xiling's answer. Originally, you would have to wait until your cultivation broke through to the starry sky realm. If I tell you now, it won't do you any good. Why are you so anxious? You just said that with your talent, you will be able to reproduce the origin energy in 10 years. It won't be difficult for you to break through to the starry sky realm. Chapter 1594. It was the same sentence again. If it was anything else, Longao would have let it go. Except for this. Xiling, I really want to know. Even if you don't tell me, I'll ask Long Fu later. I'm sure he'll tell me then. Longao had just finished speaking when Long Fu suddenly appeared. Master, I agree with Miss Xiling. With your current strength, it's better if you don't know. Otherwise, it'll be a huge hindrance to your state of mind. If even Long Fu said so, what else could Longao say? It could be said that he was extremely depressed. Shrugging helplessly, Longao said helplessly, if that's the case, I hope you won't refuse me when I break through to the starry sky realm. Master, of course. Xiling smiled and said, Longao, don't think about anything else now. The only thing you need to do is to stabilize your realm and break through to the Nirvana realm in 9 months. Before Longao could say anything, Xiling continued. The reason I asked you to stabilize your realm for 9 months is not only to stabilize your current realm and avoid future troubles, but also to stabilize your realm. At this point, Xiling paused. After 9 months, Long Fu and I will help you break through to the Nirvana realm in one fell swoop. At that time, you won't need to continue to stabilize your realm. I see. Longao finally understood why Xiling asked him to stabilize his realm for 9 months. Between the two choices, he would definitely choose Xiling's method. I know what to do. In the following days, Longao still didn't leave the Dragon Valley. Instead, he stayed and began to cultivate in silence. The night sky was dotted with stars. The mountain Longao sat on was listed as a forbidden area by the Dragon Valley. No one dared to take a step inside, not even Long E. You're Longao, the new master of the Dragon Seal? Although Longao didn't show it on his face, he was inwardly shocked when he saw the blood demon suddenly appear in front of him. The blood demon, the blood pool true body, had already devoured the artifact spirit. Longao had never thought that the blood demon would appear at this time. It seemed a bit too fast. As for why the blood demon recognized him, Longao was not surprised. Exactly. There's no need for me to say anything. I believe you've already guessed who I am. Nonsense. Longao didn't say anything. He just looked on coldly. He wanted to see what the blood demon was up to. His heart was heavy. Longao was very clear in his heart that since the blood demon could enter the Dragon Valley quietly, wouldn't it be easy for the blood demon to deal with his family? Longao, don't worry. The people here are just ants in my eyes. I won't do anything to them. Although Blood Devil said so, would Longao really believe him? Blood demon, let's get straight to the point. No need to beat around the bush. There was a hint of admiration on his face. The blood demon nodded and said, Longao, I believe you already know about the grudge between me and the dragon seal body. Back then, the dragon seal body forcibly sealed me and eventually disappeared. Logically speaking, the grudge between us should also disappear. It was reasonable. However, Longao knew that things weren't that simple. If the blood demon had really let go of the grudge, why would he appear now? Could it be that he wanted to catch up with him? Although the dragon seal body has disappeared, the dragon seal is still here. This tattered little seal has sealed me for tens of thousands of years. If I don't destroy the dragon seal, I'll be letting myself down. What do you say? Longao still didn't say anything. No matter what happened, he couldn't hand over the dragon seal. Longao, I'm a reasonable person. Although you're the new owner of the dragon seal, there's no grudge between us, so I won't kill you. As long as you hand over the dragon seal and leave, we won't interfere with each other in the future. How about it? So that's how it was. Longao finally knew why the blood demon had come to find him this time. Forgive me, but I can't promise you. Without the slightest anger, the blood demon smiled and said, Longao, although I've been sealed, I've been watching you from the beginning to the end. You're very good. Otherwise, I wouldn't have helped you before. Then I have to thank you? Longao knew that if the blood demon hadn't been willing to use the power of the blood pool, Long Fu wouldn't have been able to do it alone. But even so, friends were friends, and enemies were enemies. The blood demon was an enemy, not a friend. Blood demon, you and I are both smart people. You were seriously injured in the battle back then, and were sealed for tens of thousands of years. If my guess is right, I believe that your current strength hasn't even reached the Nirvana realm. Not to mention the starry sky cultivators. I alone can easily destroy you. Am I right? The blood demon's face turned cold. Seeing this, Longao was overjoyed. The more the blood demon behaved like this, the more certain he was that his guess was right. If that was the case, then this was the best time to kill the blood demon. Otherwise, once the blood demon had the chance, not to mention killing him in the future, he would probably be killed by the blood demon himself. Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots to prevent future troubles. Longao, you're looking for trouble. Even if your guess is right, do you think it's possible for you to kill me? When I recover my strength, even if I'm only at the first level of the starry sky realm, not to mention you, even your family won't be able to escape. Do you believe me? A threat. A blatant threat. If someone else had threatened him like this, Longao would have snorted and looked down on them. But the blood demon was different. Because as the blood demon had said, although the blood demon didn't pose any threat to him now, what about in the future? If the blood demon recovered his strength, how could he compete with the Dragon Valley? Without further ado, Longao's body suddenly disappeared with the help of space teleportation. The next second, he appeared in front of the blood demon with his sword. The reincarnation sword light shot out 3 consecutive reincarnation sword lights, one after the other. Longao was full of confidence that even the blood demon wouldn't be able to escape death if he was hit. However, at this moment, the blood demon, who was still there a moment ago, suddenly disappeared, as if he had teleported. Looking at the blood demon who suddenly disappeared in front of him, Longao was also shocked, because he never would have thought that although the blood demon's strength wasn't much, his speed was extremely fast. Because he discovered that even his own spatial teleportation might not be able to reach such speed. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, it would truly be hard to believe. There was no doubt that the blood demon was indeed a level 9 starry sky cultivator. His strength was even above the heavenly Tao. Once the blood demon recovered his peak strength, who could be his opponent except for the marvelous mathematician? Chapter 1595. Longao, You're still far from being able to kill me. He did not continue to attack. Longao coldly looked at the blood demon in front of him. He knew very well that even if the blood demon's current strength was not enough, he could not kill him with his speed. If he was not confident, the blood demon would not have appeared so easily. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, it would be hard to imagine that the blood demon's speed could surpass teleportation. Longao was almost certain that the blood demon's speed was definitely not teleportation, but pure speed. Blood demon, I will personally settle the grudge between us in the future. Are you determined not to hand over the dragon seal? The blood demon's face was a little gloomy. This time, after breaking out of the seal, he did not even bother to recover from his injuries and could not wait to rush over. He only had one purpose, and that was to destroy the dragon seal. In the blood demon's view, even if the dragon seal body had died, the dragon seal would always be a disaster. He had to eliminate the root of the problem to prevent future troubles. 3 years later, I will come and find you. As soon as his voice fell, the blood demon's figure disappeared without a trace. What fast speed! He sighed inwardly. The blood demon's terrifying speed was really unparalleled in the world. A 3-year agreement. Longao was not a fool. Since the blood demon had made a 3-year agreement with him, there was no doubt that the blood demon would need at least 3 years to recover his strength. Both Master God Diviner and the blood devil had agreed to meet in 3 years. Was there something going on between the two of them? At the top of a mountain not far from the Dragon Valley, a gentle breeze blew past. The blood demon stood alone at the top of the mountain, looking at the endless void in the distance. A black figure flashed. Blood demon, after 10,000 years, you finally broke out of the seal. Congratulations. He turned around. Looking at the marvelous mathematician in front of him, the blood demon was not surprised at all. He sneered and said, "Marvelous mathematician, if it were not for you, the dragon seal body would not have been sealed so easily." The marvelous mathematician smiled. 10,000 years ago, the blood demon appeared and wreaked havoc in the world. The dragon seal body borrowed the power of the dragon seal but still could not seal the blood demon. In the end, the marvelous mathematician personally helped the dragon seal body to seal the blood demon. It was precisely because of this. Apart from the dragon seal himself, the person the blood demon hated the most was the godly mathematician before him. However, the blood devil knew his own limits. Even if he had been at his peak 10,000 years ago, he wouldn't have been a match for the Master God Diviner. Not only him, but even the dragon seal himself was no match for Master God Diviner. Master Godly Mathematician's strength was unfathomable. Blood Devil had a feeling that even if he and Dragon Seal joined forces, they still wouldn't be a match for Master God Diviner. Blood Devil had always trusted his intuition. Back then, you slaughtered the Martial Heaven continent. As the ruler of the Martial Heaven continent, could I have just ignored it? He was rendered speechless by Master Godly Mathematician. His heart was filled with endless unwillingness. Master God Diviner, for the past 10,000 years, there's something I've been wondering about. I hope you can answer me honestly. Excuse me. Master God Diviner had an indifferent expression on his face, as if he didn't put blood demon in his eyes at all. From this, one could imagine how powerful Master God Diviner was. Starry Skies cultivators had 9 major realms, and even 2 Starry Skies cultivators of the same level would have differences in strength. In other words, even if Master God Diviner and Blood Demon were both 9th level cultivators, there was still a huge difference in their strength. Master God Diviner, I really want to know what realm your cultivation base has reached. Even 10 of you wouldn't be a match for me. Master God Diviner's words were so arrogant, but Blood Demon didn't doubt them in the slightest. If that was the case, then Master God Diviner's strength was truly unfathomable. Blood Demon had been prepared to take revenge after breaking out of the seal, but now, he didn't even have the slightest desire for revenge. Blood Demon, if you obediently stay on the continent, I won't do anything to you. But if you dare to walk the same path as you did 10,000 years ago and slaughter the Martial Heaven continent, I won't just seal you. I'll kill you directly. After Master God Diviner left, an ethereal voice rang out. Blood Demon, take care of yourself. Blood Demon's expression grew gloomier as he watched Master God Diviner disappear. However, he didn't move. In the end, he swallowed his anger. Master God Diviner was too powerful. Even at his peak, he wasn't a match for Master God Diviner, let alone the current him. At the peak of a mountain, a cool breeze blew past. Dragon Valley. Longao's expression was extremely grave. He hadn't told anyone about Blood Demon, because even if he did, it wouldn't help. Xiling, tell me the truth. What realm has Blood Demon reached? Longao was very clear in his heart. Even if he did not know, he believed that Violet Spirit would know. However, Violet Spirit shook her head and helplessly said, Blood Demon's strength is too strong. I cannot sense Blood Demon's true realm. Hearing Xiling's words, Longao was shocked. Xiling's strength was obvious, but even Xiling couldn't sense Blood Demon's true realm. Was Blood Demon really that powerful? It had to be known that Blood Demon was a 9th-rank Starry Sky cultivator, and so was Xiling. If even Xiling couldn't sense Blood Demon's true realm, then who else in the Martial Heaven continent besides Master God Diviner could sense Blood Demon's true realm? Long Fu. Long Fu? Longao wasn't a fool. Xiling only nodded, but he already knew what Xiling meant. That's right. Why didn't he think of it earlier? Others might not be able to sense it, but it was impossible for Long Fu to not know. After all, Long Fu was the artifact spirit of the Dragon Seal. Following the fall of the Dragon Seal's original body, the Dragon Seal's owner was not only him, but also Long Fu. What's more, Long Fu had seen the Dragon seal Blood Demon from beginning to end. If even Long Fu didn't know about it, then it was a bit strange. It was unlikely. Long Fu, tell me the truth. What realm has Blood Demon reached? Master, even if you know, what can you do? Miss Xiling and I are of the same mind. With your current strength, even if you know, it won't benefit you at all. It might even hinder you. Master, forgive me for not telling you. *CK Long Ao cursed in his heart, but he didn't blame Long Fu. He knew that Long Fu was doing this for his own good. Otherwise, telling him wouldn't cause any harm to Long Fu and Xiling. Even if he knew that it wouldn't benefit him at all, Long Ao still wanted to know. However, since Long Fu and Xiling had already said so, Long Ao didn't insist on asking. Chapter 1596. The Blood Demon had always been a threat. As long as the Blood Demon was not eliminated, Long Ao would not be at ease. The promise of 3 years. He stood at the top of the Dragon Valley, looking at the endless clouds in the distance. In the void of the 9 heavens, thousands of miles of clouds. Clenching his fists, Long Ao's eyes revealed an incomparably resolute look. No matter what happens in 3 years, I will reproduce the origin energy and break through to the Starry Sky realm. In the face of a Starry Sky cultivator, unless one's cultivation reached the same level as a Starry Sky cultivator, one would not stand a chance. The Heavenly Law, the Blood Demon, the 3 superpowers. All of his enemies were incomparably powerful. The slightest carelessness could lead to eternal damnation. Long Ao, Senior, you're here. Seeing the clairvoyant suddenly appear in front of him, Long Ao was a little surprised. He did not know why the clairvoyant would appear at this time. The Blood Demon just came to see you? He nodded. Since the clairvoyant had arrived, Long Ao was almost certain that the clairvoyant must have known that the Blood Demon had come to see him. If that was the case, there was no doubt that the clairvoyant also knew that he had obtained the Dragon Seal. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. For a long time, Long Ao did not believe in the clairvoyant's way of divination. In his view, even if the way of divination was unparalleled in the world, it was impossible to predict everything in the world. However, with each incident, Long Ao gradually believed that the clairvoyant's way of divination was indeed incomparably powerful. Long Ao, I believe you already know about the grudge between the Blood Demon and the Dragon Seal. Although the Dragon Seal's true body has fallen, the Blood Demon has been sealed for 10,000 years. I believe that he will not let this matter go. Since you have become the new master of the Dragon Seal, this grudge will naturally be transferred to you. This is fate, and it cannot be changed. Fate could not be changed. Long Ao never believed in fate, but he did not intend to shrink back from the grudge between him and the blood demon. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earthweir. My fate is up to me, not the heavens. The clairvoyant seemed to be able to guess what Longao was thinking, and his face was full of admiration. Longao, in 3 years, I will help you fend off the blood devil. Thank you, Senior. Although Master God Diviner had said that, Longao wasn't completely relying on Master God Diviner. After all, it was better to rely on oneself than to rely on others. If he didn't have the slightest bit of value after 3 years, would Master God Diviner still help him? That might not be the case. Longao, you didn't accept Tianchen's inheritance? All of a sudden, Master God Diviner seemed to have sensed something, and a look of shock appeared on his face. From his point of view, Longao should have devoured the legacy of the stars. Could it be that Longao didn't even put a starry sky inheritance in his eyes? The starry sky realm, also known as the pinnacle of martial arts, was the realm that every warrior dreamed of reaching. Master God Diviner refused to believe that Longao really didn't want to break through to that level. The clairvoyant could even calculate this? If that was the case, Master God Diviner's way of divination was really terrifying. Senior, to tell you the truth, I've already given the legacy of the star's eye obtained to my elder brother. As for myself, I've decided that no matter what difficulties I encounter, I will reproduce my own origin power and break through to the starry sky realm. Master God Diviner was more or less angry. Although he knew that there was a huge gap between devouring origin power and producing one's own origin power, he didn't want to wait any longer. What if Longao couldn't reproduce his origin power and break through to the starry sky realm in 3 years? However, since Longao had already done so, even Master God Diviner himself couldn't say anything. Longao, remember our 3-year agreement? As soon as he finished speaking, Master God Diviner's figure disappeared. Everyone wants to bully me. One day, I'll let all of you know that I, Longao, am not to be trifled with. As his cultivation base continued to rise, Longao helplessly found that even with his current strength, he was at most a speck of sand in a sea of people. That was especially true of super experts like the Blood Demon, Master God Diviner, and Tiandao. Let alone the current him, even if he broke through to the starry sky realm, he wouldn't be a match for them. It was easier said than done to continuously break through to the 9th rank of the starry sky realm. For countless years, the number of people who had reached this level in the martial heaven continent could be counted on one's fingers. Even the talented Tiandao had failed to break through to the 9th rank of the starry sky. It was easy to imagine how difficult it was to reach the 9th rank of the starry sky. The arrival of the Blood Demon and Master God Diviner caused Longao's mental state to become somewhat chaotic. The Violet Thunder sect, in a private room. Following the Violet Thunder ancestors' compromise, Yi Wutian and Yi Wuti had given up. They knew that it wasn't worth it to offend the Violet Thunder ancestor just to kill Longao. As for Yi Warren, he was still unwilling. The reason was very simple. Other than his most beloved grandson being killed by Longao, Longao had continuously provoked him. If Longao didn't die, Yi Warren would lose face. Even with the Violet Thunder ancestors' deterrence, Yi Warren wouldn't easily let go. If he couldn't do it openly, he would do it secretly. Third Elder, if we continue to assassinate the Dragon Valley's people, Longao will find out sooner or later. If Longao spreads this matter and the Violet Thunder ancestor learns about it, we'll be in big trouble. How could Yi Warren not understand what the servant meant? Could they just let Longao go? That was impossible. Seems like I'll have to make a trip personally. After thinking about it, Yi Warren finally decided not to let Longao go. However, Longao's strength and variables were too great. No matter who he sent, it wouldn't be enough. Only he could go and kill Longao himself. Third Elder, do we still have to deal with Longao? Cut the crap. The 4 of you come with me. In order to ensure that nothing went wrong, Yi Warren brought the 4 peak Divine Emperors and left the Violet Thunder sect quietly. Dusk slowly descended. Looking at the 5 silhouettes disappearing, Yi Tianhua and the Violet Thunder ancestor appeared at the same time. Yi Tianhua sighed helplessly and said, "Violet Thunder ancestor, It seems like the third elder still can't let go. Should we help him or turn a blind eye to it? In Yi Tianhua's opinion, the third elder was still one of them. As for Longao's life or death, it had nothing to do with him. Until now, Yi Tianhua couldn't understand why the Violet Thunder Ancestor would help Longao. He was sure that the Violet Thunder Ancestor and Longao didn't know each other before. I've already said that Longao and I are friends. No matter who you are in the Violet Thunder sect, no one is allowed to touch Longao. Yi Warren acted without permission. He didn't put me in his eyes at all. If things went on like this, Yi Warren would be fine, but how could the Dragon Valley stop him? This time, Yi Warren didn't enter the Dragon Valley. Longao was sure of one thing. Yi Warren acted on his own. It seemed that the Purple Thunder Patriarch didn't know about it. If that was the case, everything would be easy to handle. Aoer, father, trust me. Since things had already come to this point, Longi did not continue to say anything. He was very clear about Aoer's character. Once he decided on something, he wouldn't change his mind under normal circumstances. Longao also left the Dragon Valley quietly because he didn't want Yuyin to know about it. Otherwise, without a doubt, with Yu Yin's character, she would definitely follow him. Although Yu Yin's cultivation had successfully broken through the heaven multiplying technique, no one knew if there would be any changes. It was better to be safe than sorry. If something happened to Yuyin, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. As soon as he left the Dragon Valley, before Longao could continue moving, a figure flashed in front of him. Yuyin blocked Longao's path. Brother Long, I want to go too. Yuyin, you can't do this. Don't make me worry about you. Yuyin's face was filled with determination. Brother Long, I've already checked Yi Warren's strength. He's only at the oneness of heaven and men level. My cultivation has successfully broken through the heaven multiplying technique. It's more than enough to deal with him. This time, whether you agree or not, I have to go. Yuyin was famous for being a domineering woman in Red Fire Town. However, she later followed Hades into the Martial Artists Alliance and restrained her character. If it was just Yi Warren, Longao wouldn't be too worried. As Yuyin said, with her current heaven multiplying technique, it was more than enough to deal with Yi Warren. Longao was afraid that Yi Warren had set a trap for him this time. If it wasn't just Yi Warren, but also Yuyin, wouldn't it be dangerous? However, Longao knew Yu Yin's character very well. If Yuyin didn't go with him this time, she wouldn't let it go. After thinking about it, Longao finally chose to compromise. Yuyin, although I promised you to go with me, you have to listen to me when the time comes. Don't worry. Hearing Longao's promise, Yuyin was pleasantly surprised. She directly came over and held Longao's arm, which made Longao shake his head helplessly. In the Nameless Valley, looking at the two figures not far away, Yi Warren sneered. He didn't expect Longao to really come. Just now, he was thinking that if Longao really didn't dare to come, what should he do? However, as long as Longao came alone, everything would be easy. Even if Longao had leaked the matter, he was still not afraid. Anyway, there would be no evidence. Even if the ancestor knew, he probably wouldn't deal with him for Longao. If Yi Warren knew that Purple Thunder Ancestor had come and wanted to kill him, what would he do? In the face of life, everything was bullshit. Yi Warren wasn't afraid of death? Not necessarily. However, in Yi Warren's view, the ancestor wouldn't deal with him for a little Longao. Not to mention Yi Warren. No one would believe it. Longao, I have to admire your courage. You killed my grandson. Today, I want to settle this account with you. If you don't object, your life is mine. Who are you? You want to kill my big brother Long? Dream on. Yuyin, who was already very angry, heard Yi Warren's words and her face instantly darkened. He didn't say anything nice. If it weren't for Longao stopping her, Yuyin would have already attacked. She was indeed a domineering woman. He was a little confused. Looking at the woman beside Longao, Yi Warren didn't sense Yu Yin's true strength. In Yi Warren's view, this woman must be Longao's confidant. Anyway, things had already come to this point. Killing one or two people was the same. It was better to eliminate the root of the problem and get rid of both of them at once to save himself some trouble. Chapter 1598. Longao, don't tell me that you only dare to hide behind a woman. Yi Warren's face was full of disdain, contempt, and ridicule. Longao smiled, his face indifferent. As for Yu Yin, hearing Yi Warren's words, Yi Warren was furious. If it wasn't for Longao's timely intervention, Yi Warren would have already attacked. Yu Yin, do you know who he is? A dog of the Purple Thunder sect. Little girl, you're wrong to talk like that. Hearing the voice, before the 7 people could react, Purple Thunder Ancestor's figure had already appeared. Brother Long, we haven't seen each other for a few days. Greetings, old ancestor. Ignoring Yi Warren, the Purple Thunder Ancestor looked at Longao and said with a smile, Brother Long, I'm really sorry that our Purple Thunder sect has such a trash. Trash? I'm trash? The old ancestor actually called me trash? Hearing the old ancestor's words, Yi Warren was dumbfounded. He never thought that the old ancestor would really help Longao and not him. Is this really the old ancestor? Feeling the killing intent from the old ancestor, Yi Warren was dumbfounded and didn't dare to say a word. Even if you didn't come, I wouldn't have killed him. Thank you. The two of them were friends. They could hear each other's words clearly. The Purple Thunder Ancestor absolutely believed that Longao could kill Yi Warren, especially the girl beside Longao. The Purple Thunder Ancestor was shocked because he never thought that Longao would have such a strong expert by his side. Zhou Tian Multiplication. A small Yi Warren couldn't be Zhou Tian Multiplication's opponent. Even if he didn't come this time, Yi Warren would still die without a doubt. Longao alone? The Purple Thunder Ancestor believed it, but it didn't mean that Yi Warren also believed it. Yi Warren had full confidence in his own strength. In Yi Warren's opinion, a puny Longao was no match for him. Cough, cough. Ancestor, this is a grudge between me and Longao. I hope you won't interfere. As the great ancestor helped Longao, Yi Warren knew that he would definitely die this time. Even if he had to die, he had to find a scapegoat. Yi Warren was betting on the fact that the Grand Ancestor would not intervene and let him and Longao settle their grudge alone. If that was the case, his chances of killing Longao would be greatly increased. As expected. Brother Long, what do you think? As a friend, the Purple Thunder Ancestor did not personally take action because he wanted to see what Longao wanted. This was a true friend. How could Longao not be aware of Purple Thunder Ancestor's intentions? Big Brother Purple Thunder, I hope to resolve this matter myself. The Purple Thunder Ancestor was not surprised at all, because he had already guessed that Longao would make such a choice. Otherwise, Longao would not be the real Longao. The Purple Thunder Ancestor did not continue to talk nonsense, but walked to the side and stood steadily. Bet. Even if he died, he would kill Longao. Longao, I have to admire your courage, but you are still a little too arrogant. I'll give you a chance. He waved his hand. Without giving Yi Warren any chance to speak, Longao sneered and said, Yi Warren, cut the crap. The grudge between you and me must be resolved today. In front of Big Brother Purple Thunder, I will kill you myself. You shouldn't have come this time. Ha 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 ha. You? Hearing Longao's arrogant words, Yi Warren suddenly laughed wildly. His laughter was filled with endless contempt and ridicule, because in Yi Warren's opinion, it was impossible for him to be defeated. Big Brother Long, let me do it. He nodded. Although Longao believed in his own strength, he still had self-awareness. If he relied on his own strength alone, not to mention killing Yi Warren, he was afraid that Yi Warren would kill him. If it was just Yi Warren alone, Longao certainly would not have the slightest worry. The reason was simple. Yi Warren's cultivation had only reached the realm of oneness of heaven and man, while Yuin's cultivation had reached the realm of heavenly cycle multiplication, which was one realm higher than Yi Warren's. The difference between the 5 realms of nirvana was huge. In other words, Yuin could kill Yi Warren in minutes. Be careful. Yuin smiled, her face full of confidence. In the next second, Yin's whole body had already rushed out. Her speed was so fast that even Yi Warren was shocked. Nirvana Realm Warrior. Yuin had already released her aura. Yi Warren sensed that the opponent was a Nirvana Realm Warrior and a Heavenly Cycle Reproduction Realm Nirvana Realm Warrior. Yi Warren's face changed, but before Yi Warren could react, Yuan had already approached him. You shouldn't have insulted Big Brother Long, so you must die. After so many years outside, Yuan was no longer the Yuan in Scarlet Fire Town. She was very clear in her heart that in this dog-eat-dog world, it was either you die or I die. Mercy to the enemy was the greatest cruelty to oneself. In the blink of an eye, the two had already fiercely fought. The terrifying battle between the two Nirvana Realm warriors. The four peak divine god warriors were instantly killed by the powerful aura, leaving no one alive. Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. Although the four of them were divine god warriors of the Purple Thunder sect, in Yu Yin's view, they were all Yi Warren's men. If she did not kill them, what if they came to Big Brother Long for revenge in the future? Precisely because of this, Yuan did not have the slightest bit of mercy, not leaving a single one alive. The Purple Thunder ancestor did not have the slightest bit of emotion when the four of them died. In his opinion, the four of them deserved it. After all, he had already given the order that no one in the Purple Thunder sect was allowed to harm Longao. Since Yi Warren and the other four dared to disobey his order, they deserved to die. Chapter 1599. Yi Warren was very clear in his heart. If the old ancestor really wanted to kill him, then he wouldn't even have a chance. He wasn't afraid of Longao, but he was very afraid of the old ancestor. Yuan, come back. Brother Long Yuan, who was fiercely attacking Yi Warren, suddenly heard Longao calling her. She was a little unwilling and didn't know why he called her back at this time. Didn't Brother Long want to kill Yi Warren? However, Yuan didn't continue to attack. In front of the two of them, she couldn't not give Longao face. She withdrew her hand. Brother Long, I know what I'm doing. Longao smiled, then looked at the Purple Thunder ancestor and said with a smile, Brother Purple Thunder, Yi Warren is still a member of the Purple Thunder sect. It's not appropriate for me to kill him. Giving him face. Thank you. Yi Warren, do you know my original order? I know. How could Yi Warren not know? The old ancestor had clearly stated that no one was allowed to attack Longao without permission. Those who disobeyed the order would be killed without mercy. Although he knew, Yi Warren still wanted to take a gamble because in his view, he was still a member of the Purple Thunder sect. There was no reason for the old ancestor to not help him and instead help Longao. This time, he lost the gamble. Until now, Yi Warren still hoped that the old ancestor wouldn't kill him. However, in the next second, Yi Warren's body suddenly became sluggish and his soul was destroyed. His soul didn't even have the chance to enter the reincarnation path. Purple Thunder ancestor, you didn't have to do this. Longao was a little surprised because he didn't expect that the Purple Thunder ancestor not only killed Yi Warren, but also destroyed his soul. Brother Long, this is not only for you, but also for me. Since things had already reached this point, Longao didn't say anything more. Dragon Valley, Back Mountain, Forbidden Area, inside a pavilion. Brother Long, although you have a 1-year agreement with the 3 superpowers, in my opinion, with your strength and the Dragon Valley strength, I'm afraid that after a year, you won't be a match for the 3 superpowers. He nodded in agreement. There wasn't the slightest anger because Longao knew that the Purple Thunder ancestor meant no harm. Brother Purple Thunder ancestor's suggestion, do you have a good idea? Brother Long, I've already met with Jintian. A year later, the two of us, the Sword Sect and the Violet Thunder Sect, will do our best to assist you. So that's the case. 3 against 3, 3 against 3, 3. Even if the Dragon Valley wasn't, the Sword Sects. If the Violet Thunder Sect and Sword Sect really wanted to help him, Longao was very clear that after a year, even the 3 transcendent powers would have to reconsider their actions. No one wanted to end up in a life and death struggle. Long twos, ts, ss toot. Purple Thunder ancestor's expression was very dignified as he said, even if Jintian and I do our best to help you, it is still not a solution. It is better to rely on oneself than to rely on others. Brother Long, do you understand what I mean? I understand. How can I not understand? Longao understood the Purple Thunder ancestor's meaning. It was simple. Even if the Sword Sect and Purple Thunder Sect were willing to help him, They wouldn't fall out with the 3 superpowers just for his sake. Friends, not family. Just like what the Purple Thunder ancestor said, it was better to rely on himself than on others. If he and the Dragon Valley were strong enough, would the 3 superpowers still dare to act like this? At the end of the day, it was because he wasn't strong enough. If he wanted to protect the Dragon Valley from being bullied by others, he had to get stronger first. At the very least, he had to reach the Nirvana realm. If he could break through to the Nirvana realm, Longao had full confidence that he would be able to put up a fight against Nirvana rebirth experts. But breaking through to the Nirvana realm was easier said than done. Brother Purple Thunder, speak your mind. Looking at the smiling Purple Thunder ancestor, Longao's heart skipped a beat. If the Purple Thunder ancestor didn't have any other intentions, why would he say this out of the blue? Unless the Purple Thunder ancestor had nothing better to do. Brother Long, you're really smart. Apart from the matter of you, Warren, I also have something to tell you. As long as you do as I say, I can guarantee that your cultivation will be able to smoothly break through to the Nirvana realm. Longao was shocked. He knew very well that it wasn't easy to break through to the Nirvana realm from the Divine Emperor realm. Not to mention others, even Long Fu and Xiling couldn't guarantee that they could smoothly break through to the Nirvana realm from the Divine Emperor realm. But Longao wasn't a fool. Since the Purple Thunder ancestor said so, it seemed like the Purple Thunder ancestor really had a way. If that was the case, then it was undoubtedly the best thing for him. Brother Purple Thunder, please tell me. Longao, reject him. At this time, Xiling's spiritual sense suddenly transmitted. Longao was shocked. He didn't know what Xiling meant by saying this at this time, but Longao was very clear that Xiling certainly wouldn't harm him. Without waiting for the Purple Thunder ancestor to speak, Longao said helplessly, Brother Purple Thunder, I'm really sorry, but I can't promise you because I have something very important to do. Brother Long, don't you want to break through to the Nirvana realm? He didn't even say anything, but Longao had already rejected him. This made the Purple Thunder ancestor a little confused. After all, the Nirvana realm was a realm that every warrior dreamed of reaching, especially the current Longao. In the current situation, Longao believed that Longao needed to break through to the Nirvana realm even more. Brother Purple Thunder, I know your good intentions. To tell you the truth, it would be a lie to say that I don't want to break through to the Nirvana realm. Even if I had the opportunity to break through to the Nirvana realm now, I wouldn't. Why is that? The Purple Thunder ancestor became more and more curious. He didn't know what was going on with Longao. How could there be such a thing? If he didn't hear it with his own ears, even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't have believed it. Brother Purple Thunder, I believe you have also heard about my matters. Purple Thunder ancestor nodded. It was impossible for him not to know about Longao's matters. As for Longao, he was simply a legend. In just a few years, he had directly broken through to the peak of the God Emperor realm from a waste. He was only one step away from the so-called Nirvana realm. Such talent could be said to be unprecedented. The Purple Thunder ancestor couldn't figure out what this matter had to do with Longao's rejection. Brother Purple Thunder, my realm is rising too fast. It's not very stable now. Chapter 1600. The Purple Thunder ancestor didn't seem to understand. Longao didn't try to hide the truth. Big Brother Purple Thunder, to be honest, my cultivation speed has been too fast for so many years. Even I can't control myself. Therefore, in the remaining time, I will focus on stabilizing my cultivation. He nodded. You're right. Based on your cultivation speed, if you can't stabilize your cultivation, once you break through, not only will there be no benefits, it will also bring you trouble. Since Longao said so, the Purple Thunder ancestor didn't try to persuade him. According to Longao, Yi Warren's death must be kept a secret. Otherwise, where would the Purple Thunder sect's face go? Things didn't go as planned. Longao didn't want to leak the news, but the Purple Thunder ancestor didn't hide it, announcing it to the world. There was only one reason why the Purple Thunder ancestor personally killed Yi Warren, and that was because Yi Warren ignored the Purple Thunder sect's order and was killed by the Purple Thunder ancestor, shocking the world. When the news spread, no one believed it. But since it came from the Purple Thunder ancestor's mouth, even if they didn't believe it, they could only believe it. Purple Thunder Sect. Inside a secret chamber. Yi Wuti and Yi Wutian never imagined that their third brother would be killed by the old ancestor. Because other than Yi Tianhua, no one else knew about it, including the two of them. Big brother, the old ancestor personally took action. It seems like he's biased towards Longao. Was this bias? Yi Wuti was unwilling to admit that in front of the old ancestor, Longao's status was far above their third brother's. If this didn't happen, they wouldn't have believed it. Second brother, don't mention this matter again. From now on, don't provoke Longao, understand? Their hearts were filled with anger. In the hearts of Yi Wutian and Yi Wutian, they did not blame the great ancestor at all, nor did they dare to blame the great ancestor. The only one they blamed was Longao. If it were not for the great ancestor, the two of them would have dealt with Longao directly. But the situation now was different. They were clear that if the old ancestor could kill their third brother for Longao, then there was no doubt that the old ancestor would kill them and their second brother for Longao. Swoosh. Yi Tianhua appeared instantly. Patriarch, the two of you, I believe that you already know about the matter of the third elder. This time, I only have one thing to tell you. Don't provoke Longao. Otherwise, the old ancestor will not show any mercy. As expected, the two of them weren't sure, but after hearing the patriarch's words, they were 100% sure that the relationship between the old ancestor and Longao was not simple. Actually, after thinking about it, he felt relieved. If their relationship was not good, how could the old ancestor kill third brother for Longao? No matter what, his third brother was still a Nirvana realm cultivator. This was extremely important to the Violet Thunder sect. Not only that, the old ancestor's meaning is very clear. 3 years later, our Violet Thunder sect will fully support the Dragon Valley to deal with the 3 superpowers. Has the ancestor gone mad? Hearing the patriarch's words, both Yi Wutian and Yi Wuti were shocked. The two of them had never imagined that the old ancestor would make such a decision. They were clear about the grudge between Longao and the 3 superpowers. If they helped Longao, wouldn't they be offending the 3 superpowers? 1 against 3. Would the Violet Thunder sect be able to contend against the 3 superpowers? Once the 3 superpowers joined forces, not to mention the Dragon Valley, even if the Dragon Valley and the Violet Thunder sect joined forces, they would not be a match for the 3 superpowers. The two of them cursed fiercely in their hearts. This time, they were cursing the old ancestor. Although they were angry, they did not dare to speak. This is not something you and I can decide. I don't know the relationship between the old ancestor and Longao, but you'd better take care of yourselves. After saying that, Yi Tianhua turned and left, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. Yi Wutian and Yi Wutian looked at each other and saw a trace of anger, helplessness, and even more helplessness in each other's eyes. No one could change the old ancestor's decision. The second day after the Purple Thunder ancestor killed Yi Warren. Early in the morning, the sun slowly shone over the land. Everyone was busy with their own matters. At this moment, from now on, I will be in seclusion for 3 years. The heavenly Tao and I will no longer care about the matters of the martial sky continent. After 3 years, when I come out, everything will return to normal. All the Nirvana realm experts, including Longao, were shocked when they heard the godly diviner's voice. What did the godly diviner mean? All the Nirvana realm experts, including Longao, were not fools. They naturally understood the meaning of the godly diviner's words. The godly diviner was only going to be in seclusion for 3 years. Why did he need to inform all the Nirvana realm experts? After all, whether he was in seclusion or not, it was the same whether he was in seclusion for 3 years, 9 years, or even 900 years. The godly diviner and the heavenly Tao would not appear for the remaining 3 years. They would not care about the matters of the martial sky continent. What did this mean? In other words, for 3 years, no matter how chaotic the martial heaven continent was, the two of them wouldn't interfere. In other words, the God Diviner wanted to re-establish the structure of the continent. It didn't matter who destroyed who. Even if the 10-direction cauldron was destroyed, the God Diviner believed that 3 years later, a new one would appear. The agreement between Longao and the 3 superpowers is cancelled. However, The three superpowers are not allowed to attack the Dragon Valley. Otherwise, they will be destroyed in 3 years. The three superpowers were delighted to hear the godly diviner's message. In their eyes, whether the Dragon Valley was destroyed or not wasn't important. The most important thing was to kill Longao. If the godly diviner did not interfere, then everything would be easy. Ordinary martial artists didn't know that the godly diviner's message could only be heard by Nirvana realm experts and Longao. However, the people who controlled the fate of the continent were only Nirvana realm experts. Ordinary martial artists didn't have the power to decide. The continent was in turmoil. No matter which force it was, even if it was the 10 Directions tripod, there was no guarantee that they would survive the 3 years of turmoil. However, for those ambitious people or forces, this was undoubtedly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen. This was because all 10 forces, including second-rate forces, third-rate forces, and even fourth-rate forces, even the outer seas, western regions, and other continents were getting restless. This was because everyone wanted to get a piece of the pie in the 3 years of turmoil. All the Nirvana realm experts didn't hide anything. They told the world about the godly diviner's message. Just relying on Nirvana realm experts wouldn't be able to change the power structure of the continent. Chapter 1601. As a Nirvana realm martial artist, Yuin had also received a message from Master Clairvoyant. She had a serious expression on her face. Yuin was well aware that once the 1-year agreement was lifted, and without the deterrence of the divine mathematician, Big Brother Long would be in great danger. The strength and foundation of the three superforces were clear for all to see. Could Brother Long alone contend against the three superforces? Dragon Valley. Inside a secluded pavilion, a gentle breeze blew, and a fragrant scent wafted into the air. Brother Long, since you already know about Master Clairvoyant's message, why do you insist on leaving? Hearing that Brother Long was still going to leave Dragon Valley, Yuin was extremely worried. Master Clairvoyant had gone into seclusion and canceled the 1-year agreement between the three superpowers and Longao. This meant that from now on, the three superpowers could attack Longao without fear. Although she trusted her brother Long, the difference in strength between them was too great. It was like throwing an egg against a rock. Yuin, I know what to do. No matter what happens, you are not allowed to leave Dragon Valley. Longao was very depressed because Yuyin's cultivation had also reached the Nirvana realm. Of course, she could hear Master Clairvoyant's message. The 1-year agreement was cancelled. Longao was almost certain that if nothing unexpected happened, he believed that the current three superforces would definitely attack him with all their might. Fortunately, with Master Clairvoyant's deterrence, the three superpowers would not dare to casually attack Dragon Valley. That was enough for him. Brother Long, I'm very worried about you. Longao smiled dotingly and said, How could I not know? I will definitely resolve the grudge between me and the three superpowers. Don't worry, I will be fine. Yuin looked deeply at Brother Long in front of her. In the end, she chose to compromise. She knew Brother Long's character very well. Once he decided on something, he would not change it under normal circumstances. Brother Long, if you live, I live. If you die, I die. If you live, I live. If you die, I die. These simple words were enough to express Yuyin's current attitude. It would be unrealistic to say that he was not moved. However, Longao did not continue to say anything. Everything was in silence. Following the God Diviner's seclusion and the heavenly Tao's absence, all the powers of the martial heaven continent began to stir. They all wanted to get a share of this chaotic time. The tripod of 10 Directions, Long Family, Alchemy Guild, Martial Artists Alliance, Wanshou Sect, Heaven and Earth Sect, 5 Elements Sect, Wanzhan School, Sword Sect, Purple Thunder Sect, and Black Heaven Sect. Long Family, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Wanshou Sect, the three superpowers, were overjoyed. In the eyes of the three superpowers, with the deterrence of the Oracle, no one would dare to go against the will of the Oracle unless there was something wrong with their heads or they were courting death. The tables had turned. No one knew what the Oracle meant. However, in the eyes of the three superpowers, this was undoubtedly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Kill. Longao must die. The Longao was too unpredictable. Although it was only 9 months, who knew what would happen during that time? What if? What if Longao really reached the Nirvana realm in 9 months and reached a certain height? How would the 3 superpowers deal with him? Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots to prevent future trouble. At the end of the day, in the eyes of the 3 superpowers, Longao posed an absolute threat to them. If this matter were to spread to anyone else, they'd definitely become a laughing stock. However, Longao's situation was very special. They did not attack immediately. They could not attack the Dragon Valley. In other words, the oracle meant that as long as Longao was in the Dragon Valley, no matter who it was, they could not attack him. Otherwise, they would suffer the wrath of the oracle 3 years later. The 3 superpowers couldn't help but feel a little depressed. They prayed that Longao would leave the Dragon Valley. Otherwise, as long as Longao hid in the Dragon Valley, wouldn't they be unable to do anything after 3 years? Everyone was looking forward to seeing if Longao would leave the Dragon Valley. Smart people would definitely not leave the Dragon Valley. However, everyone wanted to see Longao leave. They wanted to see who would win the battle between Longao and the 3 superpowers. On the 3rd day after the oracle's transmission, the chaos of the Tianwu continent officially began. The first to attack was the Heaven and Earth sect. Then, the other 9 superpowers, the Long family, the Pill Alliance, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Myriad Beasts sect, the 5 Elements sect, the Wanzhan School, the Sword sect, the Purple Thunder sect, and the Black Heaven sect all joined the war. It was not just the 10 forces. Even the second-rate, third-rate, and fourth-rate powers were not spared. They were all drawn into the war. In this kind of chaos, death was a small matter. It was like squashing an ant. As for sects and families, they could rise one day and be destroyed the next. It was an ordinary matter. The 9 prefectures continent was exceptionally calm. Everyone was shocked. That was because no superpower had entered the 9 prefectures continent. As for the 9 prefectures continent, no family or sect had risen. At this moment, the 9 prefectures continent only had one overlord, the Dragon Valley. Dragon Valley. Within the main hall, Long Yi and the others had all appeared. However, Longao and Long Haosher were still in seclusion. As for why the 2 of them had not appeared for such a big matter, no one knew except for Long Yi and Longao. No one dared to ask. Aoer, the Tianwu continent is in chaos. If nothing unexpected happens, it won't be long before the chaos spreads to the 9 prefectures continent. If we don't think of a way to deal with it, we'll be in a very passive position. How could Longao not understand his father's worries? The chaos of the Martial Heaven continent would affect the entire structure of the continent, especially the 10 directions tripod. The rise of any one of them, or the fall of any one of them, was extremely important. Dad, let's bide our time. As for the Martial Heaven continent, I'm preparing to bring people into it. No matter what happens, we'll become the new 10 directions tripod. Hearing Longao's words, everyone was startled. This idea was too brazen. Entering the Martial Heaven continent wasn't difficult, but becoming the new 10 directions tripod was impossible. After all, the difference in power between the Dragon Valley and the 10 directions tripod was too great. The 2 weren't even on the same level. Aoer, we should consider this matter at length. If we don't have absolute confidence, it won't be appropriate for us to act rashly. Longao smiled confidently. We have the blood-colored spider and the blood-colored praying mantis. When the time comes, we'll have 5 Nirvana experts, 7 in total. I refuse to believe that with our power, we won't be able to become the new 10 directions tripod. Chapter 1602. No one could oppose Longao's decision. Longao had already decided that he would take advantage of this chaos to bring the Dragon Valley to prominence. He could only succeed, not fail. The Massacre Abyss. Longao felt very helpless because even now, he still didn't know who was secretly helping him. Otherwise, the 5 Abyssal Masters of the Massacre Abyss wouldn't have submitted to him for no reason. 5 Abyssal Masters. The Eastern Abyssal Master was Hong Lingtong. The Southern Abyssal Master was Yang Ling. The Western Abyssal Master was Luo Qingfeng. The Northern Abyssal Master was Guali. And the Central Abyssal Master was Yi Chan. Longao? Hearing that Longao had suddenly changed his mind, the five of them were helpless to the extreme. With the black-robed man's deterrence, they could only obediently submit. Master, why have you returned this time? Lin Yun sneered inside. Longao was very clear that the five of them definitely didn't want him to return. The five of them were true Nirvana realm cultivators. If news of them submitting to a mere god emperor spread, where would their face go? From now on, I want to enter the martial sky continent. I hope the five of you can help me. So it was this? The five of them looked at each other, seeing a trace of relaxation in each other's eyes. To the five of them, helping Longao enter the sky martial continent was simply an easy matter. It could be done in minutes. Master, this matter is simple. Other than helping me enter the martial sky continent, you also have to help me become one of the 10 great powers. Seemingly in disbelief, Hong Lingtong asked, Master, you just said that you want us to help you enter the martial sky continent and become one of the 10 great powers? Lin Yun nodded. Seeing Longao nod his head, the five people were all greatly shocked. In just an instant, the five of them understood Longao's meaning. As Nirvana realm cultivators, the five of them had also heard Master God Diviner's transmission. However, they had never imagined that Longao's ambition would be so great. He actually wanted to enter the martial sky continent and become one of the 10 great powers. It was almost impossible. Even if the Dragon Valley had the help of the five of them and the entire Massacre Abyss, it would still be impossible for them to achieve this. Was Longao out of his mind? Or had Longao's head been kicked by a donkey? Master, forgive me for being blunt. Please speak. Actually, there was no need for Hong Lingtong to say anything. How could Longao not know what the other party meant? Master, I trust that there's no need for us to say more about your and the Dragon Valley's power than anyone else. Forgive me for being blunt, but just you and the Dragon Valley can easily take over the martial heaven continent and become one of the 10 great powers. At this point, Hong Lingtong did not continue. The meaning behind Hong Lingtong's words was very clear. Without exception, the five of them had disdain and contempt written all over their faces. The five of them didn't believe it. They all believed that Longao bringing the Dragon Valley to the martial heaven continent would only lead to death. They weren't the slightest bit angry. Longao was very clear that the five of them didn't put him in their eyes from the beginning to the end. Although he didn't know the reason why the five of them submitted to him, Longao could clearly see that the five of them were absolutely unwilling to do so. This matter was extremely troublesome. Based on this situation, it would be difficult to get the five of them to help him. Longao didn't plan on giving up. With the help of the five of them, not only would the Dragon Valley be able to take over the martial heaven continent, but it would also be more than enough. I've already made up my mind. I just want to ask you one thing. Will you follow me? Impossible. Hong Lingtong seemed to be truly angry. The five of them had already discussed this. Even if the black-robed man blamed them, the five of them wouldn't continue like this. It was simply a disgrace. Longao, starting now, the five of us have nothing to do with you. Furthermore, you can't enter the Massacre Abyss. Otherwise, don't blame us for being merciless. They had turned hostile. Longao was a bit surprised. He hadn't expected the five of them to turn hostile at this time. If that was the case, he would have to think twice before deciding to enter the martial heaven continent. The current martial heaven continent was different from before. The slightest carelessness could lead to eternal damnation. Longao, don't think that you're unrivaled. In our eyes, you're not even worth a fart. If it weren't for the Lord— Shut up. The Lord? Who was the Lord that Luo Qingfeng had mentioned? Could it be that the five of them had chosen to submit to him because of the Lord that Luo Qingfeng had mentioned? Without wasting any more words, Longao got up and left. Humph, you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. If the Lord blames us for doing this, how will we deal with it? We'll take it one step at a time. After leaving the Massacre Abyss, Longao didn't rush back to the martial heaven continent. Instead, he returned to the Dragon Valley. If he wanted to enter the martial heaven continent, he had to plan carefully. He couldn't be like last time, when his entire sect had almost been destroyed. The current martial heaven continent was filled with battles. Blood flowed like rivers, and corpses were everywhere. Fortunately, the 10-directional cauldron was suppressing the chaos. Otherwise, the situation would have continued to escalate. Heroes were born in troubled times. In these 3 chaotic years, no matter who it was, they would definitely want to become a hero in troubled times. If they succeeded, not only would their name shake the world, but they would also be able to establish a lasting legacy. For example, the 10-directional cauldron was formed 10,000 years ago during the ancient war. The 10 of them had risen from the chaos and established their own powers. Slowly, they became the 10-directional cauldron, the Long family, the Pill Alliance, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Myriad Beasts Gate, the Heaven and Earth Gate, the 5 Elements Gate, the Wanjan School, the Sword Sect, the Violet Thunder Sect, and the Profound Heaven Sect. The 10-directional cauldron's power was about the same. If it was a one-on-one, it was hard to say who would win. However, the 10-directional cauldron was smart. They didn't rashly attack. Otherwise, if the Sandpiper clam and the clam fought, the fishermen would take advantage of the situation. The consequences would be unimaginable. The Myriad Beasts Gate, the Long family, and the Martial Artists Alliance didn't just have to deal with the chaos. They also had to deal with the Longao. That was because they only had 3 years. Who knew if the godly diviner would continue to favor the Longao when he came out of seclusion 3 years later? It was better to be safe than sorry. The 3 superpowers didn't want this what-if, so it was better to deal with the Longao as soon as possible. Just like that, the 3 superpowers, the Long family, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Myriad Beasts Gate, entered the 9 provinces continent at the same time. The originally peaceful 9 provinces continent was instantly thrown into chaos. The people of the 9 provinces continent cursed the 3 superpowers inside. They all supported the Dragon Valley to resist the 3 superpowers. Tang Hao admired Long Ao's character and courage, especially Long Ao's talent. In addition, because of his granddaughter, he would help if he could. Tang Hao knew very well that the Martial Artists Alliance had sent him here to see how his relationship with Long Ao was. Once he hesitated, the consequences would be unimaginable. Under normal circumstances, as the Vice Alliance leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, Tang Hao should put the interests of the Martial Artists Alliance first. However, Tang Hao thought that the Martial Artists Alliance was wrong in the first place regarding Long Ao. Vice Alliance leader Tang, there are some things that I can't control. But the grudge has been formed. Either you die or I die. Long Ao didn't want to have a life-and-death confrontation with Tang Hao unless it was absolutely necessary. Not for the sake of the monk, but for the sake of the Buddha. Except for Tang Hao, Long Ao knew that even Morong Yinner couldn't kill Tang Hao. Vice Alliance leader Tang, I don't want to have a life-and-death confrontation with you. I hope you can. Before Long Ao could finish, Tang Hao waved his hand and said, Long Ao, as a member of the Martial Artists Alliance, I can't not do anything. I came to the Jiuzhou continent this time to deal with you. In that case, I have nothing to say. Goodbye. Tang Hao turned and left. After a while, he turned into a black light and disappeared without a trace. Standing at the top of the mountain, Yi Fuyan looked at the endless void in the distance. What should he do? Long Ao was very confident that it wouldn't be difficult to kill Tang Hao with the cooperation of the Crimson Mantis and the Crimson Spider. Did he really have to kill Tang Hao? Night fell. The 3 superpowers started to attack all the forces in the Jiuzhou continent, except for the Dragon Valley. The Martial Artists Alliance, the Long family, and the Wanshou sect were all part of the 10 forces. Even one of them could easily destroy the Jiuzhou continent and dominate the Jiuzhou continent, let alone the 3 of them working together. In just a few hours, the Jiuzhou continent was covered with corpses. Those who didn't dare to disobey chose to surrender. In less than a day, 1/3 of the Jiuzhou continent was occupied by the 3 superpowers. At this rate, the 3 superpowers would conquer the Jiuzhou continent in 3 days at most. If that was the case, the Dragon Valley would be besieged by the 3 superpowers. The result was obvious. Those who offend the Jiuzhou continent will be killed, no matter how far away they are. Suddenly, a thunderous voice resounded throughout the entire world of the 9 continents. Everyone, including Tang Hao and the members of the 3 superpowers, heard the voice, and their faces were filled with shock. Those who offend the Jeojo continent will be killed, no matter how far away they are. Chapter 1604. As soon as he finished speaking, Longao suddenly appeared. It was as if he had appeared out of thin air. Seeing Longao suddenly appear in front of them, the three of them were shocked. Was Longao not afraid of death? The three of them couldn't figure it out because the calmer Longao was, the more unsure they were. They learned from their mistakes. Longao, I have to admire your courage. You're really not afraid of death. You? He ignored Long Hang. I just said that whoever offends the 9 states will be killed no matter how far away they are. Without giving the three of them any chance to speak, Longao continued, if you know what's good for you, you'd better get out of the 9 states continent. Otherwise, I'll kill whoever I see. Arrogant. They had to admit that Longao was really arrogant, extremely arrogant. Who in the world dared to be so arrogant in front of 3 Nirvana Realm warriors? Moreover, Longao's cultivation had just broken through the Nirvana Realm. He had just reached the peak of the Emperor God Realm. They laughed. Among the 3 of them, except for Tang Hao, the other 2 laughed. Their laughter was full of ridicule and disdain. Longhang snorted and said contemptuously, Longao, do you really think the 9 states continent is your territory? Shirpatian, who had been silent all this time, said, Longao, I believe you already know why we're here this time. The grudge between you and our 3 families must be resolved this time. Nonsense. Because of the death of his disciple, the grudge between Longao and Shirpatian had reached the point where one of them had to die. Shirpatian was not angry at all. Instead, he said with a smile, Longao, if you're willing to come here this time, don't leave. The 3 of them had invisibly surrounded Longao. Even if Tang Hao was unwilling to do so, he had to do it now. Otherwise, if this matter was reported to the Martial Artists Alliance, he would not be able to explain it to the Martial Artists Alliance. I'll give you 1 day. After 1 day, if you don't leave the 9 states continent, I'll take action. He turned around. Under the shocked gazes of the 3 people, Longao's figure suddenly disappeared. In the air, only Longao's voice was left. Those who offend the 9 regions will be killed no matter how far away they are. The 3 of them looked at each other and saw a trace of shock in each other's eyes. Spatial artifact. Both Longhang and Tang Hao knew exactly what Shirpatian meant. This matter was no longer a secret. It was common knowledge that Longao was able to vanish in front of a rebirth realm martial artist because Longao possessed a spatial artifact. It would be a lie to say that they didn't want such a spatial artifact. I want to see what kind of tricks Longao can play. Longhang had always found Longao an eyesore. Even now, Longhang was filled with regret. If he had killed Longao back then, none of this would have happened. He was filled with regret. Although Longao had said that those who offend the 9 regions will be killed no matter how far away they are, Longhang still didn't believe that Longao had such strength. From the beginning to the end, Longhang didn't put Longao in his eyes. 1 day. I also want to see how merciless Longao will be after 1 day. Tang Hao didn't say anything because he didn't know what to do next. With regards to Longao's character, Tang Hao could be considered to have understood. Longao had just said that he would make his move after 1 day. If there were no accidents, he believed that Longao would definitely make his move after 1 day. Longao's arrogant words had already spread throughout the 9 states continent. It could be said that there was no one who didn't know about it. No one believed Longao's words. After all, the strength of the 3 superpowers was there for all to see. Especially this time, the 3 superpowers had entered the Tianwu continent, and each of them had sent a rebirth realm martial artist. The 1-day agreement. Longao had already said that if the 3 superpowers didn't scram out of the 9 regions continent in 1 day, Longao would take action. With the God Diviner's deterrence, the 3 superpowers definitely wouldn't casually attack the Dragon Valley. However, if the Dragon Valley took the initiative to attack, the matter would be different. If Longao took the initiative to attack, wouldn't he be courting death? Time trickled by. 1 day quietly passed. Everyone was waiting for the day to come, especially the people of the 9 regions continent. They couldn't wait for Longao to drive the three superpowers out of the Nine Regions continent. One day later, Longao couldn't possibly just say that. However, Longao was extremely clear that he couldn't involve the Dragon Valley in this matter. Otherwise, the three superpowers would start attacking the Dragon Valley. He couldn't bring trouble to the Dragon Valley for no reason, especially the three superpowers. The night quietly passed, and the day quietly arrived. The Dragon Valley led the two Nirvana divine beasts, the Crimson Spider and the Crimson Mantis, and an army of hundreds of thousands of corpse slaves into the camp of the three superpowers. This time, Longao was prepared to make an earth-shattering move. It could be considered as an example to others. In the void of the nine heavens, thousands of miles of clouds, Longao and the two Nirvana divine beasts coldly looked at the three Nirvana realm cultivators. As for the army of hundreds of thousands of corpse slaves, they swarmed forward and began to kill the three superpowers members. Dozens of corpse slaves ganged up on one. Even if the three superpowers disciples were powerful, they couldn't take on 10 of them at once. Moreover, corpse slaves had immortal bodies. It wouldn't be a problem for them to hit them 10 times, but if they hit them once, they wouldn't be able to take it. Under such circumstances, it was a simple matter for the hundreds of thousands of corpse slaves to annihilate the three superpowers members. In less than an hour, everyone from the three superpowers was annihilated, leaving only corpse slaves. Among the hundreds of thousands of corpse slaves, only a few dozen corpse slaves had fallen. In this battle, Longao had won. The three superpowers had been utterly defeated. Hearing the miserable screams coming from below, Tang Hao, Sherpatian, and Long Hang naturally knew what was happening. Their expressions grew more and more gloomy. Everyone in the martial heaven continent knew that Longao had used some kind of secret art to refine the dead into a corpse demon. His physical body's defensive power was even more terrifying. Longao, you'll definitely regret this in the future. Just wait, I'll let you know the price of doing this. Long Hang's voice was extremely cold. He didn't want to appear arrogant at all. This time, all the people he brought were killed by the enemy before they could even make a move. Putting aside the issue of face, if this matter were to spread to the Long clan, how would he explain it to them? The only thing he could say was that he had killed Longao. A day ago, I already said that anyone who offends the 9 prefectures will be killed. I gave you a chance, but you didn't grasp it. Now, even if you want to leave, there's no chance. Chapter 1605. No chance? He looked at them with disdain. Longao, I'd like to see how you're going to keep us here. Until now, Sherpatian and Longhang still didn't take Longao seriously, because it was hard to make up for the gap between their realms. Kill. Since things had come to this point, Longao didn't hesitate anymore. They had to fight. This fight was unavoidable. The Crimson Mantis and the Crimson Spider came out instantly. The Crimson Mantis fought Longhang, and the Crimson Spider fought Sherpatian. As for Tang Hao, you'd better leave. Tang Hao looked at the young man in front of him, and his expression changed again and again. He didn't know why, but he felt that Longao came prepared this time. Even if he stayed, it would be useless. The three of them were shocked by the two Nirvana divine beasts. Longao, if I leave, I won't be able to explain it to the Alliance. Longao chose to ignore the martial artists' alliance. Even if we're not friends, we're definitely not enemies. Yin doesn't want to see us fight. Thinking of his granddaughter, Tang Hao chose to leave in the end. Tang Hao, you. Before Sherpatian could finish his words, he was attacked by the Nirvana divine beasts. He didn't even have the chance to continue speaking. Looking at Tang Hao, who was gradually disappearing, Longao was finally relieved. It was still the same words. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he absolutely did not want to fight to the death with Tang Hao. Sherpatian and Longhang's strength was almost the same as the two Nirvana divine beasts. Once the two sides started fighting, it would not be an easy task to determine the victor. Longao looked at the fight coldly, but he didn't immediately take action. The fight between two Nirvana divine beasts and two Nirvana divine warriors could be said to be earth-shattering. The reason why Longao chose to fight here was that he didn't want to get involved. because ordinary people couldn't bear the aura of a fight between Nirvana divine warriors. The Jojo continent was his territory. The news of Longao's battle with the three superpowers had already spread throughout the 9 continents. In the short span of an hour, all the members of the 3 super forces, with the exception of the 3 Nirvana realm martial artists, had perished. Not a single one was left alive. Is this true? They had just received the news, so no one believed it. After all, such a thing was simply unimaginable. In the void of the 9 heavens, thousands of miles of clouds, a heaven-shaking battle took place. Everyone gathered far away, raising their heads to watch the great battle of the 9 heavens, exchanging blows back and forth, their auras sweeping through the world. Would the 3 Nirvana realm martial artists win, or would Longao win? Until the final moment of the great battle, the outcome would always be unknown. Under normal circumstances, it was almost impossible for an emperor god to defeat 3 Nirvana realm martial artists. It was like a fool's dream. Except for Longao. The situation was completely different. Longao was able to eliminate everyone from the 3 superpowers in a short period of time. With this alone, Longao was able to look down on the world. The great battle of the 9 heavens was earth-shattering. Longao eventually joined the battle, with 1 reincarnation avatar and 1 Longao on each side. In this way, Longao's side became 2 against 1, and their chances of winning were higher. Bang! With a loud bang, Longhang's body flew out. Who sneaked an attack on me? It's me. Longhang was only using heavenly cycle multiplication, and Yuan was also using heavenly cycle multiplication. If they were to fight one-on-one, Yuan would not be able to defeat Longhang. It was unknown whether she would win or lose. However, Longhang was focused on the Nirvana Divine Beast, so he didn't expect Longao to have a Nirvana Realm martial artist on his side. In his carelessness, Yu Yin's sneak attack succeeded. Yuan, why are you here? Seeing Yu Yin's sudden appearance, Longao was displeased. He didn't want anyone from the Dragon Valley to be involved in the feud between him and the 3 superpowers, including Yuan. Even if Yu Yin's cultivation had reached heavenly cycle reproduction. So what? There were at least dozens of people from the 3 superpowers who could kill Yuan. Brother Long, I can help you. Yu Yin's face was firm. Seeing this situation, Longao was helpless. Longao, you have an unfair advantage. Shirpatian avoided the Nirvana Divine Beast with a palm and quickly came to Shirpotian's side. The 2 of them looked at each other and saw a trace of shock in each other's eyes. Until now, the 2 of them had never thought that Longao would have so many Nirvana Realm martial artists on his side. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it. Shirpatian, Longhang, as the saying goes, the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Since you have lost, then stay and kill them. Not wanting to leave any trouble for himself, Longao ordered the 2 Nirvana Divine Beasts to charge at the 2 of them. As for Yuan, she had already rushed out before Longao could react. With 1 man and 2 beasts working together, it was more than enough to fight against the 2 of them. Longao's chances of winning had increased again. However, since things had come to this point, how could Shirpatian and Longhang continue to stay? If Tang Hao didn't leave, the 3 of them might have a chance to turn the tables. But now, it was impossible for them to win, so they could only leave first. As the saying goes, where there is life, one need not worry about firewood. As long as they return to the sect, at that time, the 3 super forces will join hands to kill Longao. It will be a piece of cake. The 2 of them used blood escape at the same time and disappeared instantly. Big Brother Long, should we chase after them? Yui knew very well that the 2 of them were obviously afraid. If she chose to pursue them at this time, the probability of successfully killing the 2 of them would be very high. Otherwise, once the 2 of them returned to their respective sects, it would not be so easy to kill them in the future. However, Longao shook his head and said helplessly, no need. The 2 of them are heavenly cycle reproduction warriors. Once they use the blood escape art, you and I won't be able to catch up with them. This time, we didn't eliminate them completely. If there are no accidents, I believe that the 3 super forces will launch a large-scale attack in 3 days at most. At that time, The Juzhou continent will definitely be captured and our dragon sect can only hide in the Dragon Valley. Otherwise, the three super forces will definitely think of ways to deal with us. If it was before, even if the two of them knew they couldn't catch up, they wouldn't have given up so easily. However, the current situation was a bit special. The martial heaven continent was in chaos, and the god diviner was in seclusion. The three superpowers would definitely take advantage of this opportunity to deal with them. If they didn't think of a way to deal with them quickly, they would be in a very passive position. Longhang and Shirpatian were naturally afraid of being chased. The two of them used all their strength to rush back to the martial heaven continent. Their speed was at its peak. Without the help of transportation formations, the two of them managed to leave the 9 provinces continent in just a few hours. Chapter 1606. Big Move. In order to not give the three super forces a chance, Longao had forcefully destroyed all the teleportation arrays in the 9 continents. In other words, from now on, whether it was from the Sky Martial Continent to the 9 continents or from the 9 continents to the Sky Martial Continent, one could not use the teleportation array and could only rely on their feet. No matter how fast one's feet were, it was impossible to be faster than the teleportation array. Not only that, in order to deal with the upcoming chaos, Longao was preparing to develop the power of the Dragon Valley as quickly as possible. Expansion. Currently, the 9 continents was the territory of the Dragon Valley. Longao used the Dragon Valley as his headquarters and set up 9 branches in the 9 continents: Sky Region, Earth Region, Sun Region, Moon Region, Sunset Region, Cloud Region, Crimson Region, Illusion Region, and Black Forest Region. The 9 continents were intertwined into a huge spider web. The news of Longao defeating the 3 super forces, Tanghao retreating without a fight, and Shirpatian and Longhang fleeing had already spread throughout the entire 9 continents, including the Sky Martial Continent. Sky Martial Continent. Long family. In the Great Hall, Long Di Tian's face was very gloomy, because he never thought that the 3 families would almost be wiped out. Fortunately, Longhang was fine, otherwise, he would not be able to explain it to the old ancestor. Longao was the biggest variable. Patriarch, Longao is not simple. According to my estimations, the current dragon sect has 1 Nirvana realm martial artist and 2 Nirvana divine beasts on the surface, but in the dark, no one knows how many Nirvana realm martial artists there are. How could Long Di Tian not know about the Great Elder's worries? If that was the case, then it would be troublesome. The Myriad Beasts sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Long family. Although the 3 super forces had a common enemy, Longao, the 3 families were not one family. On the matter of Longao, they might be friends, but other things might not be. For example, the current chaos. Survival of the fittest. The divine mathematician's meaning was very simple. He wanted to take advantage of this seclusion to change the situation of the continent. If the 10-directional cauldron were to join forces, no one would be able to shake its position. However, could the 10-directional cauldron do that? The 10-directional cauldron was very worried. If they joined forces and the god diviner turned against them, how were they supposed to deal with that? Shuffle the cards again. Considering how strong Master God Diviner was, it wouldn't be difficult for him to destroy the 10 Directions cauldron and re-establish it. It was precisely because of this. The 10 Direction cauldrons did not join hands as expected. Instead, they all had their own ulterior motives. They wanted to destroy each other and re-establish their position as the overlord of the Martial Heaven continent. Now, it was still the 10 Directions tripod. 3 years later, the power structure of the Martial Heaven continent would change. At that time, whether it would be the current 10 Directions tripod or a new 10 Directions tripod was unknown. Perhaps, 3 years later, there would no longer be a tripartite balance of power, but a tripartite balance of power. No one would be able to control the situation. Long Tian's figure suddenly appeared. Forefather. Seeing the old ancestor suddenly appear in front of them, whether it was Long Di Tian or Long Hang, they immediately bowed respectfully. How is it? Not daring to hide anything, Long Hang recounted everything that had happened in the 9 prefectures continent in detail. Long Tian's expression was indifferent. He didn't say a word. Long Tian didn't say anything, and neither of them dared to say anything. Neither of them knew what the old ancestor meant. Was he angry? Or did he not care? This was especially true for Long Hang. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't worried. This time, he had gone to the 9 prefectures continent to kill Longao. But what had happened? Not only had he failed to kill Longao, but Longao had killed everyone except him. If he hadn't personally experienced it, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. I really didn't expect that in just a few months, Longao would have so many Nirvana Realm cultivators by his side. Long Hang, this isn't your fault. Hearing the old ancestor's words, Long Hang let out a long sigh of relief. Old ancestor, what should we do now? Let's put the matter of Longao aside for now. This time, Lord Godly Mathematician is in seclusion. The situation of the Tianwu continent will be changed. At this time, if we divert our attention to dealing with Longao, I'm afraid we'll miss the big event. In Long Tian's eyes, Nirvana Realm cultivators weren't as important as the continent. In Long Tian's opinion, even if Longao was a big variable, it was impossible for him to change so much in a year. Old ancestor, if we go all out, it will be difficult for us to deal with Longao when he rises. After suffering a great loss, Long Tian was still afraid of Longao. Long Hang smiled. Do as I say. Remember, don't be reckless. I want to see how the other 9 families are preparing. Yes, old ancestor. Even if they were unwilling and didn't agree, since the old ancestor had said so, both Long Tian and Long Hang could only swallow their words. The more they said, the more mistakes they would make, especially at this time. The 10 Direction Cauldrons were all eager to try because the 10 Direction Cauldrons didn't want to be the prey, but the hunter. Furthermore, in this situation, the slightest carelessness would cause them to fall into a state of eternal damnation. Dragon Valley. Aoer, 3 days have passed. Long Family, Wanshou Sect, and Martial Artists Alliance still haven't made any moves. What is the meaning of this? Long Ao was also a little surprised because according to his calculations, it wouldn't take more than 3 days for the 3 superpowers to enter the 9 provinces continent. Even if they couldn't deal with Dragon Valley because of Lord Godly Mathematician's deterrence, as long as they conquered the 9 provinces continent, Dragon Valley would be like a turtle in a jar, at the mercy of the 3 superpowers. There was only one reason why the 3 superpowers hadn't made any moves until now. Father, according to my guess, the reason why the 3 superpowers haven't entered the 9 provinces continent is because they want to kill each other. It seems like the war between the 10 Direction Cauldrons and the Martial Sky continent won't be long. Then what should we do now? In Long Yi's opinion, the matters of the Martial Sky continent had nothing to do with him. No matter who killed who, it wouldn't be good for Dragon Valley, but it also wouldn't be bad. Whether it was the 10 Direction Cauldrons now, or when the situation changed, it was fine as long as the other party didn't enter the 9 provinces continent. It was because of this that Long Yi didn't want to enter the Martial Sky continent and get involved in this flood. Looking at his father's expression, Long Ao already knew what his father was thinking. He said helplessly, Father, even if we don't enter the Martial Sky continent now, no matter what happens when the time comes, unless the 3 superpowers are all destroyed, they won't let the matter rest. Entering the 9 provinces continent is something that must be done. Therefore, we have to take the initiative. If we take the initiative, the consequences will be unimaginable. Chapter 1607. Take the initiative to attack? Long Yi knew what his son meant. In the end, he still wanted to enter the Martial Heaven continent. Long Yi was helpless. Aoer, how confident are you? Father, due to the threat of the God Diviner, I believe that as long as the 3 superpowers aren't stupid, they won't attack the Dragon Valley. So no matter what happens, the sect shouldn't take the initiative to attack. Long Yi nodded. Of course, Long Yi knew this very well. Father, I've already thought about it. This time, I'll lead the corpse slave army to enter the Martial Heaven continent. In an instant, Long Yi understood his son's intention. Before Long Yi could say anything, Long Ao continued, Father, I've already made up my mind. If you want to help me look after the Dragon Valley. Looking at his son in front of him, Longyi finally sighed deeply. Longyi was very clear about his son's character. Once Ao decided on something, he wouldn't change his mind under normal circumstances. Worried, however, Longyi didn't say anything. Ao, you have to bring the blood-colored spider and the blood-colored mantis. He shook his head. Father, I know you're worried about me, but I'll leave the 2 Nirvana divine beasts in the Dragon Valley. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Afraid that his father would continue to say more, Longao found an excuse to leave. This time, Longao didn't bring anyone with him. Yuin, his friends, his family. Not a single one. One man, one dragon, one tiger. The 3 brothers looked at the endless void in front of them. In the next instant, 3 figures streaked across the sky, heading toward the Martial Heaven continent. Martial Heaven continent, I'm coming. This time, Longao swore that he wouldn't return even if he died. This time, no matter what happened, he had to gain a foothold in the Martial Heaven continent. The God Diviner had been in seclusion for 3 years, and the Martial Heaven continent was already in chaos. This was an extremely rare opportunity for everyone, including Longao. The Martial Heaven continent. The 10-direction cauldron was a first-rate power. It was the foundation of the Martial Heaven continent. Once the 10-direction cauldron started a war, it would be a major disaster for the Martial Heaven continent. That was precisely the case. The 10-direction cauldron didn't dare to act rashly. They just watched and waited. However, at this time, 60% of the other forces, such as second-rate, third-rate, and fourth-rate forces, were involved in the war. Stepping into the Sky Martial continent, Longao didn't quite believe that he could deal with the 10-directional cauldrons directly. After some thought, he decided to start with the third-rate factions. In order to rise up, second-rate forces fought fiercely. If they were to get involved at this time, it would be an arduous and thankless task. In the Sky Martial continent, there were at least 100 third-rate powers. Which one should he choose? Longao did not take action immediately. Instead, he quietly began to gather information and observe all the participating third-rate forces. As the war continued to escalate, Longao targeted the Luli sect. The Luli sect was a third-rate force. Moreover, among the third-rate forces, it was considered to be at the bottom. Usually, when it was bullied by others, it would not dare to make a sound. Everyone thought that a sect like Luli sect, once the war started, the first to be destroyed would definitely be it. And the result? The result was out of everyone's expectations. Because no one had thought that the Luli sect, which was considered to be at the bottom of the third-rate forces, would display great strength as soon as the war started. Although there were only 1,000 disciples in the sect, they were all Nihility realm martial artists, especially the Luli sect's master. All along, the Luli master gave everyone the impression that she was weak and incompetent. The fact that the Luli sect could survive in the hands of such a person was a miracle in itself. However, it made everyone's jaws drop. This usually weak and feeble Luli master was actually a Nirvana realm martial artist. Her strength was valiant. Leading the Luli sect, in a short 3 days, they destroyed 4 third-rate sects, shaking the world. Pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. No one looked down on Luli and the Luli sect. Instead, many people praised Luli. Sometimes, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger was also a method. Furthermore, since Luli was able to reach the Nirvana realm, it already showed how talented she was. After obtaining all the information about Luli, Longao prepared to attack the Luli sect first. The Luli sect had 1 Nirvana realm martial artist, 2 Emperor God realm martial artists, 12 Supreme Divine Path martial artists, and 36 Supreme Divine Path martial artists. There were more than 1,000 people in the sect, each of them valiant in battle. Luli sect. In the main hall, Luli was a tall and sturdy man with a full beard. The most peculiar thing was that Luli had a huge tumor on his left cheek, which made people shudder with fear. On his left and right sat 2 elders. They were the 2 elders of the Luli sect, Black Impermanence and White Impermanence. Both of them were genuine Emperor God realm martial artists. Black Impermanence's face was slightly solemn. He said helplessly, "Master, we were exposed too quickly this time. Many sects have targeted us. Among them, The Azura Palace has already targeted us. Azura Palace? Hearing the words Azura Palace, Lu Li's face changed abruptly. He never thought that his sect would be targeted by the Azura Palace. The Azura Palace was a second-rate sect. Even among the second-rate forces, the Azura Palace could definitely be ranked in the top 5. During the turmoil in the Sky Martial Continent, the Azura Palace was the most low-key among the second-rate forces. The Azura Palace's palace master, Xing Fa, was a warrior who had achieved one with the heavens. He had a total of 12 vice palace masters under him. The first vice palace master was a warrior who had achieved one with the heavens and earth, while the remaining 11 were all god emperors. With such strength, unless the 10 cauldrons were to join the battle, how could the Lu Li sect contend against the Azura Palace? Master, if the Azura Palace wants to deal with us, I'm afraid we won't even last 3 days. We must think of a way to deal with them. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. With the strength of the Lu Li sect, not to mention a third-rated force, even if it was a second-rated force, the Lu Li sect would still have the strength to fight them. Only the Azura Palace, in front of such a powerful force, the Lu Li sect had no chance. Initially, Lu Li wanted to show off his ambition. However, he never thought that his sect would be targeted so quickly. Moreover, it was the Azura Palace. It was simply a pain in the ass. Lu Li didn't know that when they pretended to be pigs to eat tigers, they would definitely be targeted by other forces, especially during this period of turmoil. After all, if they could subdue the Lu Li sect, it would bring endless benefits to the Azura Palace. The Azura Palace had great ambitions. Although they kept a low profile, they wanted to take advantage of the 3 years of turmoil to get rid of the shackles of being a second-rate force. They wanted to become the 10 forces in one fell swoop. Not only the Azura Palace, but many other second-rate forces also had this thought. It was just that they didn't dare to make it public. Xing Dan of the Azura Palace is here to pay a visit to Master Lu Li. Just when Lu Li was about to speak, an airflow enveloped the hall. Before the person arrived, the voice had already arrived. Chapter 1608. Xing Dan. Black impermanence and white impermanence's faces instantly turned cold. The newcomer was the first vice palace master of the Azura Palace, Xing Dan, a Nirvana realm martial artist who had comprehended the heaven and earth. Even ghosts knew why Xing Dan had come at this time. Could it be that the Azura Palace really wanted to deal with them? Xing Dan was only 1.5 meters tall, a complete midget. Even so, who in the Tianwu continent dared to look down on Xing Dan? Xing Dan was powerful and vicious. He was famous as the king of hell, killing without blinking an eye. Master Lu Li, long time no see. How have you been? A few years ago, Xing Dan and Lu Li had met once. However, with the situation back then, how could Xing Dan put Lu Li in his eyes? If it wasn't for Lu Li's sudden burst of power, the Azura Palace wouldn't have set their eyes on the Lu Li sect. Vice Palace Master Xing Dan, we are honored by your presence. Please forgive us for not coming out to meet you. No matter what happened behind their backs, as long as they didn't fall out, they were still friends. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Lu Li wouldn't want to provoke the Azura Palace. After all, the Azura Palace's strength was obvious. Xing Dan sat down gracefully. He smiled. Master Lu Li, I'll get straight to the point. This time, I'm here to bring the Palace Master's message. Please speak. Until now, Lu Li and the other two still didn't know what the Azura Palace was up to. War? Judging from Xing Dan's expression, it didn't seem like it. The three of them knew that if the Azura Palace really wanted to deal with them, they wouldn't have to go through so much trouble to send a Nirvana realm martial artist. If it wasn't war, then what was it? Master Lu Li, our Palace Master's message is simple. Now that the continent is in chaos, no one can guarantee that they can rise or fall in these 3 years of chaos. What do you think? Lu Li nodded with a smile. Lu Li wouldn't say anything before understanding the other party's message. To be honest, our Palace Master wants to meddle with the 10 direction cauldrons and redefine the structure of the continent. Was there something wrong with his brain? As everyone knew, the Tianwu continent was a 10 direction cauldron. Any superpower could easily destroy the Tianwu continent. The 10 cauldrons were guarded by Nirvana realm martial artists and even Nirvana rebirth realm martial artists. How would the Azura Palace deal with such a superpower? He seemed to be able to read their minds. Xingdan smiled proudly, her face full of confidence. Master Glaze, have you heard of our Azura Palace's old ancestor, Xingkuan? How could we not have heard of Senior Xingkuan's great name? The three of them were very curious. They did not know why Xingdan mentioned this person at this time. Xingkuan was the most brutal man 10,000 years ago. He single-handedly built the Azura Palace and fought against the world. However, back then, Xingkuan was too cruel. He slaughtered all living things. In the end, he was killed by the 10 old ancestors of the Azura Palace. From this, one could imagine how powerful Xingkuan, the old ancestor of the Azura Palace, was. Xingkuan was also a Nirvana rebirth martial artist. Even so what? No matter what happened, Xingkuan had already fallen. Could it be that Xingkuan would be reborn? Looking at Xingdan's smiling face, the three's expressions changed drastically. They seemed to have guessed something. Black Impermanence suddenly shouted in shock. Could it be that Xingkuan hasn't died? Exactly. Astonishment. Incomparable astonishment. In the Sky Martial Continent, everyone knew that the old ancestor of the Azura Palace, Xingkuan, had fallen. However, the three of them also knew that Xingdan had no reason to lie to them. No matter what, the Azura Palace's strength was obvious. Back then, Old Ancestor was unfortunately ambushed by 10 people and fell. His primordial spirit was reborn. After 10,000 years, he was finally reborn. With this chaos, the Azura Palace will definitely change the situation of the continent. Deputy Palace Master Xingdan, if you have anything to say, just say it. The three of them seemed to have guessed something. They shook their heads helplessly in their hearts. I believe that Glaze Master is a smart person. As the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. Our Palace Master values your intelligence and strength. He wants to invite the Glaze sect to join the Azura Palace. In the future, once you achieve great things, our Palace Master will not treat you unfairly. Just as he expected. What he feared would happen. Could he refuse? Glaze knew very well that if he chose to refuse, the Azura Palace would undoubtedly attack the Glaze sect. With the difference between the Glaze sect and the Azura Palace, it would probably be destroyed in a few days. What if he agreed? Once he agreed, there would be no more Glaze sect in the future. Even he, Glaze, could only become the Deputy Palace Master of the Azura Palace. If that was the case, why did he have to endure for so many years in order to create great things? He could take advantage of this chaos and lead the Glaze sect to become a second-rate power. But now, it was too late. With the Azura Palace's interference, what else could he do? Master Glaze, what do you think? Xingdan's face was full of smiles. He wasn't worried at all. In his opinion, the Glaze sect would definitely not refuse such a condition, unless the other party wanted to die. If the Glaze sect agreed, everything would be fine. But if they refused, only death would await them. He was in a dilemma. If he refused, the entire Glaze sect would fall into eternal damnation. If he agreed, Glaze would be unwilling. He had worked so hard to build the sect. If he gave it to someone else, not to mention him, he believed that no matter who it was, they would be unwilling and unwilling. Master Glaze, I hope you won't disappoint our Palace Master. A threat. It was a blatant threat. Glaze and the other two were not idiots. Of course, they could hear the threat in Xingdan's words. However, the Azura Palace did have the power to threaten them. After all, their strength was right there. This was how the continent worked. Humans ate humans. If you had the strength, you could ride on other people's heads and shit on them. If you didn't have the strength, you could only stand there obediently and take a beating. This was the law of the jungle. Right at this moment. Subdue them first, then use them as cannon fodder. I have to admit that the Azura Palace's wishful thinking is pretty good. If Glaze Master agrees, there will only be one result. The Glaze sect will be destroyed. From top to bottom, including Glaze Master, they will all be killed. Who is it? Hearing the voices coming from all directions, the four of them were shocked. Especially Xingdan. He never thought that there would be someone so daring to provoke the Azura Palace. Obviously, the other party was the Azura Palace's enemy. If this matter wasn't resolved, the Azura Palace would lose a lot of face. Not only that, what the mysterious man said was the Azura Palace's intention. However, Xingdan couldn't say it like that. In this chaotic period, they must find the right cannon fodder to preserve their strength. P.S. Our Great Alliance Master, Wopanwan, requested for an explosive update. Xiaozhou had no choice but to do so. Tomorrow, it will start at midnight. Chapter 1609. Looking at the sudden appearance of the young man, the four of them were surprised. Looking at the three's expression, Xingdan was sure that even the three of them didn't know who this person was. Who are you? It's not up to you to judge the Azura Palace's business. Xingdan was truly enraged. However, before knowing who this person was, Xingdan didn't attack immediately. Longao. This time, Longao didn't use the name Black Wolf, because he knew clearly that even if he wanted to hide his identity, he wouldn't be able to do it for long. Furthermore, he didn't want to hide his identity when he came to the Tianwu continent. Longao? The four of them were shocked. They didn't expect the legendary Longao to suddenly come to the Luli sect. Longao, the Azura Palace, and you have always minded our own business. I hope you won't interfere with our business. As the saying goes, a man's life is like a tree's shadow. Longao fought against the three super forces. Even if everyone thought that Longao's strength wasn't that great, smart people knew that Longao's ability to counterattack time and time again was enough to prove his strength. Could it be that he had something to rely on since he appeared so calmly? Xingdan was just about to attack when he heard Longao reveal his identity. He forcefully suppressed his impulse. Xingdan, I have something to discuss with Master Luli. As for your business, I hope you can come again in the future. Arrogant. If it were someone else, Xingdan would have already attacked. Except for Longao. Luli and the other two were still confused. They didn't know what was going on. Why would Longao suddenly appear? Could it be that Longao was here to cause trouble? The Azura Palace was enough to give them a headache. Now, there was another Longao. Fortune never comes in pairs. Misfortune never comes alone. Staring at Longao, Xingdan's expression changed again and again. In the end, Xingdan still chose to give up. This was not because he was not confident, but because Xingdan did not dare to take the risk. The legend of Longao was too overbearing. If he was unlucky, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. In that case, I'll come back in 3 days. Please. Longao ignored him, causing Xingdan's expression to darken. After Xingdan left, Luli couldn't wait to ask, I wonder why Brother Long came to my Luli sect this time? Master Lioli, one wouldn't visit a temple for no reason. I've come to find you for something. As expected. Whether it was a good thing or a bad thing was still unknown. The only thing Luli knew was that the young man in front of her should never be provoked. A lunatic who didn't even put the three super forces in his eyes. Would he put the Luli sect in his eyes? It was simply a joke. Brother Long, feel free to speak your mind. As long as I, Luli, am able to do it, I will definitely help you. Longao smiled. Looking at white impermanence on the left and black impermanence on the right, Longao had roughly figured out the situation of the Luli sect. The three giants of the Luli sect were all present, so he didn't need to look for them one by one. Master Lioli, since that's the case, I'll get straight to the point, nodding. Although Luli's face was calm, he was helpless in his heart. He had already sensed that the other party was only an emperor god. In other words, the legendary Longao was really not a Nirvana realm martial artist, but an emperor god. Under normal circumstances, with the strength of the Luli sect, it was more than enough to deal with a small emperor god. Even so, would Luli dare to make a move? Of course not. Xingdan didn't dare to make a move. Luli also didn't dare to make a move. This was something that Longao couldn't do. Master Lioli, I want to cooperate with you. Brother Long, I'm not sure what you mean. Until now, Luli still couldn't figure out what Longao meant. I believe that Master Lioli knows the current situation of the continent better than I do. Nodding. Then it's easy. Forgive me for being blunt. Although Master Lioli is a character, it's not difficult for you to rise up in this chaotic world. Brother Long, if you have something to say, Just say it. Vaguely, Luli seemed to have guessed something. All right, then I'll say it directly. Master Lioli, even without the Azura Palace's interference, it's impossible for you to become one of the top 10 forces. Brother Long, I believe that you've misunderstood. From the beginning to the end, I've never thought of changing the situation of the continent. I just want to have my own place in this chaotic world. To be honest, my wish is to lead the Luli sect to become a second-rate force. Do you think you can do it? Luli didn't say anything. He was very clear about his own strength, and he was also very clear about the strength of his sect. It was impossible for him to become a second-rate force with his current strength. After all, the Azura Palace had already interfered in this matter. Not to mention rising up, it was still unknown whether he could survive or not. Even so, Luli didn't plan to give up. I believe that you know the strength of the Luli sect better than I do. Moreover, now that the Azura Palace has interfered, if you don't agree to submit to the Azura Palace, only death will await you. However, in my opinion, no matter if you agree or not, the Luli sect will definitely die. Speaking the truth, although Luli didn't say anything, he knew the situation that Longao had just mentioned. In this situation, submitting to the Azura Palace would allow him to live for a few more days. If he didn't, he would die immediately. Just like what Longao had said, no matter if he chose to submit or not, the result would be the same, which was death. Brother Long, do you want my Luli sect to submit to you? Not submit, but annex. I believe that Brother Luli knows a little about me. I have already established the Dragon Sect, and I also want to have a place in this chaotic world. As long as you are willing to submit to my Dragon Valley, I can guarantee that when my Dragon Sect becomes one of the 10 great forces in the continent, you will be able to become an elder. What do you think? Luli's face became gloomy. He didn't expect that a wolf would come after the tiger had just left. In Luli's eyes, no matter if it was a tiger or a wolf, they were all the same. Black Impermanence sneered and said coldly, Master Long, aren't you asking for too much? Why should we submit to you? White Impermanence continued, Master Long, forgive me for being blunt, but between the Dragon Sect and my Luli sect, it's still unknown who is stronger. Taking a step back, rather than submitting to you, why don't we submit to the Azura Palace? Don't tell me that the strength of your Dragon Sect is greater than the Azura Palace. I don't care if you believe it or not, but I don't believe it. Although the legend was true, Black Impermanence and White Impermanence still didn't put Longao in their eyes. Chapter 16:10. Ignoring Black Impermanence and White Impermanence. Longao looked at Luli in front of him and said with a smile, Brother Luli, you're a smart man. I believe you can see the situation of the continent clearly. Brother Long, I believe you've heard what the two elders said just now. Of course, Luli would not choose to surrender. Even if the Dragon Sect was strong, could they be stronger than the Azura Palace? Could they be stronger than the 10-directional cauldron? What a joke. Forgive me for being blunt, but the Dragon Sect is not stronger than the Azura Palace. Rather than surrendering to you, I'd rather follow the Azura Palace. What do you think? So, you don't agree? That's right. If that's the case, then I'll take my leave. Longao did not stay any longer. He stood up and left. In just a moment, he had disappeared without a trace. Inside the main hall, the remaining 3 people were the master of the Luli sect, Luli, and the 2 elders, Black Impermanence and White Impermanence. Master, the Azura Palace and Longao are eyeing us covetously. Although the Dragon Sect's strength is not that great, this person is still a problem. Luli nodded. The Azura Palace has decided. Regardless of whether we agree or not, only death awaits us if we choose to surrender. Master, is there really no other way for us to go? There is. Go far away. Go far away? Was there anyone in the Luli sect who would be willing to do that? Not to mention the others, even Luli and the 2 elders would not be willing to do that. Otherwise, the 3 of them would not be so troubled. They would have disbanded the Luli sect and gone far away. Looks like we can only choose to cooperate with the Longao. Hearing their sect master's words, regardless of whether it was Black Impermanence or White Impermanence, the 2 elders were greatly shocked. That was because, in their opinion, Since they were going to submit to the dragon sect, they might as well submit to the Azura Palace. How could Luli not understand the two elders' intentions? Master. Waving his hand, Luli continued without waiting for the two elders to speak. Let's wait and see. Since the Longao has found us, I believe the Longao will not let this go so easily. Since things were already like this, what else could the two of them say? Outside the colored glass peak. I'm so King unlucky to run into Longao. Xingdan did not expect to meet the legendary Longao at this moment. Otherwise, the Luli sect would have become a subsidiary sect of the Azura Palace. Longao, I will make you regret this. Xingdan naturally knew about the grudge between Longao and the three superpowers. If news of Longao's arrival reached the three superpowers, he wouldn't even need to take action, getting someone else to do the dirty work. Xingdan, I really want to see how you will make me regret it. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared in front of her, Xingdan was startled. He really came and went without a trace. Xingdan could not understand why Longao, who was only a peak stage god emperor, was so fast. It was so fast that it was slightly abnormal. Xingdan could not even see his figure clearly. Regardless of cultivation realm, in terms of speed alone, even he might not be a match for the other party. Longao, let's mind our own business. That's right, there is no grudge between us. However, I want to tell you one thing. Tell Xingdan that from today onwards, the Luli sect belongs to me, Longao. No matter who it is, don't even think about touching it. Or else, I will kill my way to the Azura Palace and kill everyone. With just you? Xingdan's face was filled with disdain. He had seen arrogant people before, but he had never seen such an arrogant person. Both sides looked at each other. A great battle was about to break out. Longao, don't think that you're invincible just because you have some strength. Today, I really want to see if the legendary Longao is really that powerful. Try it and you'll know. He took the initiative to attack. Longao knew that he could not defeat Xingdan due to the difference in their cultivation realms. However, he had already condensed the aura of the heavens and earth. It was impossible for Xingdan to kill him. Longao took a big stride forward and his body already scurried out. With the help of the spatial teleportation, Longao and his reincarnation avatar attacked Xingdan from the left and right respectively. As soon as he arrived, Longao launched his most ferocious attack. Wave after wave, surging violently. Xingdan was shocked. Xingdan did not expect that Longao would take the initiative to attack in this situation. Could it be that he was not a god emperor? Impossible. Xingdan believed in his senses. His opponent was definitely a god emperor, not a Nirvana realm warrior. Xingdan snorted coldly. I don't believe that I can't even defeat a god emperor warrior. Xingdan threw out a palm strike. As a Nirvana realm warrior, Xingdan's greatest strength was the aura of the heavens and earth. As long as he could form an absolute aura suppression, all warriors below the Nirvana realm would die in front of him. However, would aura suppression be useful? It might be useful against other warriors, but it was useless against Longao. The reason was simple. Longao had also condensed his own aura of the heavens and earth. Although it could not be compared to a true Nirvana realm warrior, it was almost impossible for Xingdan to suppress Longao with his aura alone. The two auras of the heavens and earth clashed violently, causing the aura to fluctuate. Aura of the heavens and earth? Impossible. Xingdan was extremely shocked when he sensed the aura of the heavens and earth released by his opponent. Under normal circumstances, even if Longao teamed up with his reincarnation avatar, they would not be a match for Xingdan. However, Xingdan was a little fearful now. His state of mind had changed, and the more he fought, the more he wanted to leave. After forcing his opponent back with a palm strike, Xingdan seized the opportunity and turned to leave. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared without a trace. Longao did not chase after him. He was not as strong as his opponent. Even if he chased after him, what was the use? There were still 9 months left. As long as he stabilized his realm, he would be able to find an opportunity to officially step into the Nirvana realm. Longao was full of confidence. As long as he could achieve the Nirvana realm, killing and comprehending the heavens and earth would be a matter of minutes. Xingdan had fled. If this matter was spread out, no one would have believed it in the past. After all, a God-Emperor martial artist was nothing in front of a Nirvana martial artist. Only Longao could be said to be unprecedented. On the peak of a barren mountain, Longao sat quietly as a cool breeze blew past. Longfu, is there any way to speed up the stabilization of my realm? Now that the Tianwu continent was in chaos, with his current strength, if he wanted to rise in this chaotic world, it seemed that it was not enough. It was precisely because of this that Longao was very clear that he had to quickly stabilize his realm, just like breaking through to the Nirvana realm in the shortest time possible. Time was everything. Under such circumstances, he had to race against time. Master, there doesn't seem to be a good way to speed up the stabilization of your realm. Let me think. Chapter 1611. Long Fu didn't have a solution, but Long Ao had already guessed it. As for Xiling, Long Ao didn't have much hope either. Long Ao knew very well that if Xiling and Long Fu had a way to speed up his consolidation, they would have told him long ago. There was no need to wait until now. That was why Long Ao didn't ask Xiling. It seemed like he had to think of a solution himself. Speeding up his consolidation was much more difficult than breaking through to the Nirvana realm. Azura Palace. Listening to Xingdan's report, Azura Palace's palace master Xingdan's face didn't look too good. Long Ao. Does Long Ao want to become the Azura Palace's enemy? Xingdan didn't know what Long Ao wanted to do. However, the Azura Palace and Long Ao had always minded their own business. Xingdan couldn't think of any reason why Long Ao would want to provoke the Azura Palace, because doing so would bring no benefits to Long Ao. Xingdan still couldn't think of a reason. Palace Master, Long Ao suddenly intervened in this matter. In my opinion, he must be plotting something. Continue. If Long Ao wanted to subdue the Luli sect, why did he have to do it now of all times? After being scared away by Long Ao, in order to silence him, Xingdan wished to borrow the power of the entire Azura Palace to kill Long Ao. There are so many third-rate forces. Why did Long Ao choose the Luli sect? Palace Master, if I'm not mistaken, Long Ao wants to deal with the Azura Palace. Xingdan cursed in his heart. Long Ao has a grudge with the three super forces, so there's no need for us to do it ourselves. Let's borrow someone else's knife to kill him. Spread the news that Long Ao has appeared in the Sky Martial Continent. Yes. Xingdan also had the same idea. After all, if he wanted to kill Long Ao, he was afraid that his side would also suffer some losses. This move of using a borrowed knife to kill the enemy could deal with Long Ao without losing a single soldier. Why not? The news of Long Ao entering the Sky Martial Continent spread throughout the continent at the fastest speed. Everyone already knew about it. According to the punishment and punishment list, based on the enmity between Long Ao and the three superpowers, once the three superpowers learned that Long Ao had entered the Martial Heaven continent, they would definitely attack. And the result? The two of them were taken aback. Everyone was taken aback. The three superpowers remained motionless, as if they hadn't received any news of Zero Wing's arrival. Could it be that the enmity between Long Ao and the three super forces had been resolved? In front of benefits, there were no eternal friends, and similarly, there were no eternal enemies. The Azura Palace wouldn't let this matter go if the three superpowers didn't make a move. However, the war was imminent, and they couldn't afford to affect the overall situation just because of one Long Ao. Luli sect. Elder Bai, how many is this? The fifth. Since yesterday, in a short span of one night, the disciples of Luli sect had been assassinated for no reason. 5 of them had died. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before all the disciples of Luli sect fell. Who was it? Master, this matter is very clear. The people who assassinated my Luli sect are either the Azura Palace or Long Ao. Bai Li nodded. Luli agreed with Bai Wuchang's guess. Both the Azura Palace and Long Ao wanted to subdue the sections. If the soft approach didn't work, they would use the hard approach. The 3 of them were depressed. With the Azura Palace's strength, the sects were definitely no match for them. As for Long Ao, The news of the battle between Longao and the three superpowers had spread throughout the martial heaven continent. Longao didn't even put the three superpowers in his eyes, let alone Luli's sect. Originally, he wanted to make a big move, but he didn't expect to meet two fiends before he even started. Master, what should we do now? Before Luli could say anything, the whole hall was filled with voices. Master Luli, I am Xing Xing, Master Xing Xing. The three of them stood up at the same time and looked around, but they still couldn't find any trace of Xing Xing. This kind of long-distance transmission consumed a lot of the soul. Xing Xing's strength was far above Luli. He had successfully broken through to the realm of being one with the world. It would be a lie to say that they weren't afraid of him. The three of them knew clearly that if the Azura Palace really wanted to deal with Luli's sect, they wouldn't be able to resist. Luli, I believe you already know what I mean. The five of them are just giving you a warning. If you still can't make a decision by this time tomorrow, I will launch a large-scale attack. If you can hold on for 3 days, I will drop the matter. 1 day to consider. The three of them sat down again. They looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes, but more of it was unwillingness. The martial heaven continent was in chaos. All the forces were very orderly. In other words, under normal circumstances, second-rated forces wouldn't attack third-rated forces, and third-rated forces wouldn't attack fourth-rated forces. After all, the difference between a second-rated force and a third-rated force was too big. They weren't even on the same level. However, the weak were prey to the strong. Even if the Azura Palace attacked Luli's sect, or even destroyed it, no one would say anything. They would even think that it was a normal thing. Elders, what do you think we should do now? Master, since things have come to this point, we can only choose to submit. I don't believe that the Azura Palace will kill the donkey after it has outlived its usefulness. With the strength of our Luli sect, as long as the Azura Palace isn't stupid, they won't attack us. No matter if it was white impermanence or black impermanence, their intentions were clear. They wanted to submit to the Azura Palace. In their opinion, the Azura Palace's strength was far above Longao. Choosing Longao was a dead end. Elders, what do you think if we choose Longao? We can't. Both of them rejected at the same time. Black Impermanence said, Master, even if Longao's potential is far beyond the Azura Palace, don't forget that Longao still has 3 super enemies. The Wanshou sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Long family. Any one of them can easily take care of Longao. As soon as Black Impermanence finished his words, White Impermanence continued, the 3 super forces are afraid of the other forces. They don't dare to split themselves. I believe that Master knows the strength of the 3 super forces. If we choose Longao, we will be dead for sure. How could Luli not understand the 2 elders' intentions? Feeling helpless, Luli was in a dilemma. However, he didn't know why, but he always believed in Longao instead of the Azura Palace. The cruelty of the Azura Palace was well known. Once the Azura Palace turned against him, there was nothing he could do. As the master of Luli's sect, no matter what decision he made, the first thing he had to consider was the sect's interest. Master, both of us agree that the Luli sect can only choose the Azura Palace, not Longao. Chapter 1612. Elders, I still insist on choosing Longao. Black Impermanence and White Impermanence looked at each other. If the master was like this, were they going to die for nothing? The next day, Xingping and Xingdan appeared at the Lapis Lazuli Peak. Not only that, Xingping also brought an army that was enough to wipe out the entire Lapis Lazuli sect. Lapis Lazuli, what have you decided? Rebirth Realm Martial Artists, no matter which power it was to, even including the 10-Direction Alliance, were all incomparably important existences. Master Xing, I'm really sorry. I've already promised Longao. The current Lapis Lazuli sect is no longer Lapis Lazuli sect, but Dragon sect. In the end, Lapis Lazuli still chose to submit to Longao because he trusted his intuition. Hearing that the master still insisted on choosing Longao, Black Impermanence and White Impermanence were extremely depressed. Both of them said at the same time, Master, we're sorry. Both of them took advantage of the situation and came to Xing Ping's side in a short while. Both of them knelt on the ground and said respectfully, "Master, both of us are willing to submit to the Azura Palace." There was no trace of anger. Everyone had their own ambitions. In Lapis Lazuli's opinion, the two elders' decision to submit to the Azura Palace was their own business. Xing Ping snorted coldly. "I only want Lapis Lazuli. Both of you are worthless in my eyes." Both of them were shocked. Both Black Impermanence and White Impermanence could sense Xing Ping's killing intent. Was Xing Ping going to kill both of them? In the end, both of them had overestimated themselves. They thought that once they submitted to the Azura Palace, they would be valued greatly. But the result? Both of you betrayed the Lapis Lazuli sect, and I believe you will betray me as well. The Azura Palace does not need people like you. Master. Before both of them could finish, Xing Ping's figure had already moved. As a Nirvana Realm warrior, it was easy for him to kill both of them. Lapis Lazuli didn't make a move from the beginning to the end, because both of them had chosen this path. Since they had chosen it, they should bear the consequences. Luli, I really admire you. I can promise you that as long as you're willing to submit to the Azura Palace, you'll immediately become the second Deputy Palace Master. Furthermore, you'll be an elder in the future. What do you think? With such conditions, the people behind him were all envious. It was just that no one dared to voice their anger. With Lu Li's strength, it was more than enough for her to become the second Deputy Palace Master of the Azura Palace. He snorted coldly. Looking at the two corpses on the ground, Lu Li said helplessly, "They have already chosen to submit. You can kill them. If I choose to submit, you will also kill me. You're different from them." Even now, punishment was still unwilling to give up. Both Lu Li's strength and intelligence were top-notch. If they could subdue such a person, it would only bring benefits to the Azura Palace. The meaning of punishment was very simple. In the entire Lu Li sect, he only needed Lu Li. As for the others, he could take them or not. Seeing that Lu Li was not saying anything, Xing suddenly laughed and said, "Lu Li, do you really believe in Longao? I believe you know better than me about the grudges between him and the three superpowers. Do you think you will have a good ending if you follow him?" "Fuck you. What does it have to do with you whether I have a good ending or not?" An unhappy voice sounded. Under everyone's shocked gaze, Longao's figure suddenly appeared. "Master." The words "Master" showed Lu Li's attitude. From now on, there was no Lu Li sect in the Sky Martial Continent, only a branch of the Dragon sect. There was no surprise. Longao seemed to have guessed it. He was very satisfied and said, "Don't be afraid. I will protect you here. No one can hurt anyone here." A God Emperor warrior protecting a Nirvana Realm warrior? This was simply an enormous joke. However, not a single person from the Azura Palace laughed out loud. The other party dared to appear so openly. Obviously, he did not put the Azura Palace in his eyes. If he did not have any backing, then he must be crazy. Looking at the young man in front of him, Punishment had already guessed who he was. "You are Longao?" "Yes, I am. Do you have any advice for me?" A face full of disregard. Punishment was not angry at all. Instead, he smiled and said, "Hearing about you is not as good as meeting you in person. I have always been curious about the hero who dares to go against the three superpowers. Now that I see it, it's just a coward. Sorry for the disrespect." What a foul mouth. Xingdan immediately scolded. "Longao, who do you think you are? How dare you talk to our palace master like that? Don't think you are very powerful. In front of the Azura Palace, you are just a piece of trash." Shaking his head, Longao looked at Lu Li and asked, "Have you really thought it through?" "I swear to follow you until death." "That's enough. I will let you know that you will not regret your choice today." Longao laughed and took 3 steps back. He looked at the people of the Azura Palace and said, "Punishment, since you have heard of me, you should know my character. Since today's grudge has been formed, we will have a battle in the future. However, today, I do not want to fight." "Who do you think you are? If you want to fight, you will fight. If you don't want to fight, you won't fight." What a joke. South Longao's figure suddenly disappeared. Before Punishment and Xing Dan could react, miserable screams were heard. In just a few seconds, Longao appeared again at the same place. There were already more than 10 corpses on the ground. They were all divine warriors. Although it was not a big deal for the Azura Palace, Punishment was shocked by Longao's speed. Punishment had already sensed that Longao was only a peak god emperor. However, Punishment knew that even he could not reach such a speed. If he did not see it with his own eyes, he would find it hard to believe. Longao, I will not let go of this debt. I will give you time. I hope you will not regret it. Waving his hand, Punishment turned around and left with his people. The mighty army disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Longao heaved a sigh of relief. Just now, he was shouting at Punishment. If the Azura Palace really wanted to attack, he could only escape with Luli. It was not realistic to fight them head-on. After all, the gap between them was too big. Master, although Punishment has left temporarily, according to my understanding of the Azura Palace, he will not let go of this matter. We should think about it carefully. The fall of the two elders was undoubtedly a great blow to the Luli sect. After all, there were only 2 god emperors in the Luli sect. However, the Luli sect trusted Longao. Otherwise, they wouldn't have chosen to submit to Longao at the risk of being annihilated by the Azura Palace. Longao had not known about this in the past, but as his array formation realm broke through to the god level, he had a vague feeling that there should be a level above the god level. Could it be the Starry Sky? Above the Nirvana realm was the Starry Sky Cultivator. If that was the case, then what was above the god-ranked array masters was the Starry Sky Array Master. Master, your array formation realm has already broken through to the god level. You should know more about array formations now. He was overjoyed. Hurry up and say it. Longao was a little impatient, because whether it was a martial artist or an array master, they all hoped to step into the peak. I believe Master has already guessed it. Above the god-ranked array master is the Starry Sky Array Master, which is also divided into 9 levels. Even without Long Fu's explanation, Longao already knew the levels of the Starry Sky Array Master. If there was no accident, the strength of the Starry Sky Array Master was ranked from the lowest to the highest level. Grade 1 Starry Sky Array Master, Grade 2 Starry Sky Array Master, Grade 3 Starry Sky Array Master, Grade 4 Starry Sky Array Master, Grade 5 Starry Sky Array Master, Grade 6 Starry Sky Array Master, Grade 7 Starry Sky Array Master, Grade 8 Starry Sky Array Master, and Grade 9 Starry Sky Array Master. In other words, although he had reached the deity level, there was still a long way to go before he could reach the Starry Sky Array Master realm. This was just like Nirvana realm martial artists. In the eyes of ordinary people, Nirvana realm martial artists were the strongest martial artists, but in their eyes, Nirvana realm martial artists were just a joke. Only Starry Sky martial artists were truly invincible. Under the Starry Sky, all were ants. Master, with your current level of Array Master, as long as the array you set up can trap a Nirvana realm martial artist, you can even kill a Nirvana realm martial artist. Longao certainly had confidence in this point. In the 5 realms of Nirvana, the real super experts were not Nirvana realm martial artists, but Nirvana Rebirth. Longao knew very well that even in the deity level, there was a difference between the deity level and the Great Perfection level. He had just stepped into the deity level. If he could continue to break through to the Great Perfection level, Longao had full confidence that he could even kill a Nirvana Rebirth martial artist. However, breaking through to the Great Perfection level was easier said than done. According to Longao's estimation, if he wanted to break through to the Great Perfection level, he would first have to break through the Peak God Emperor realm and reach the Nirvana realm. As for array formations, the same array formation set up by array masters of different realms would have a great difference in power. Take the 9 heavens, 10 earths devil subduing formation for example. The power of an emperor-level formation master and a god-level formation master were 2 completely different concepts. It was precisely because he had broken through to the divine realm that Longao had the confidence to fight against the Azura Palace. According to his investigation, there were only 2 Nirvana realm warriors in the entire Azura Palace. One of them was the Azura Palace's Palace Master Xingdan, and the other was the Azura Palace's first Vice Palace Master, Xingdan. One was to comprehend the heaven and earth, while the other was to become one with the heaven and man. As long as the two of them were not afraid of death and stepped into his formation, it was guaranteed that they would not be able to return. Illusory Illusion Formation, Tai Chi Formless Formation, Hidden Dragon Godly Annihilation Formation, Yin Yang Turbid Heaven Formation, Six Wheels Demon Formation, Boundless Tornado Illusion Formation, Five Elements Formation, Duality Vanishing Dust Formation, 12 Divine Fiends Formation, Great Stars Formation, 9 Bends Yellow River Formation, Spirit Gathering Formation, 9 Heavens 10 Earth Slaughter Formation, 10,000 Ghost Soul Devouring Formation, Boundless Chaos Everlasting Formation, Nirvana Void Lifeless Formation, 3 Lives 3 Death Soul Dispersing Formation, Hidden Dragon Godly Annihilation Formation, 6 Wheels Demon Formation, Boundless Tornado Illusion Formation, 12 Divine Fiends Formation. Having successfully broken through to the deity level, Longao's speed in setting up formations had greatly increased. In less than 2 days, he had set up more than 100 formations. Each formation was connected to the next, and each formation was linked to the next. One move, and the whole formation would be destroyed. One could imagine how powerful it was. However, even so, Longao was still not at ease. In addition to the 100 formations, Longao was prepared to use the remaining 1 day to arrange the most powerful formation in the Burning Heaven Formation, which was the so-called Burning Heaven Formation. When Fintian taught Longao the Burning Sky Formation arts, he had repeatedly warned him that unless it was absolutely necessary, the Burning Sky Formation could not be set up casually. Once it attracted the attention of the continent, there would be endless troubles. When that time came, how would he deal with the situation when he was surrounded by enemies? However, at this moment, Longao could no longer care about anything else. He resolutely prepared to set up the Burning Sky Formation. Master, forgive me for being blunt, but with our current strength, we are no match for the Azura Palace. Rather than fighting them head-on, we might as well choose another location, or retreat in order to advance. Lu Li's intention was clear. She did not want to confront the Azura Palace head-on. If it were any other time, Longao would definitely accept Lu Li's suggestion. After all, the Azura Palace's strength was clear for all to see. In addition, the 3 superpowers were also eyeing them covetously. Choosing to confront them head-on would only bring more harm than good. But now, the situation was completely different. The continent was in turmoil right now. If one wanted to rise in this chaotic world, passively taking a beating was the same as courting death. Only by taking the initiative would they have a chance to survive. Elder Lu Li, what if we take the initiative to attack? Take the initiative to attack? Hearing the master's words, Lu Li was shocked. She never thought that her master would make such a decision. Taking the initiative to attack would only lead to death. Could it be that her master's brain was flooded with water? Master, forgive me for being blunt, but if we choose to take the initiative to attack, I'm afraid. Although Lu Li did not finish her sentence, the meaning behind her words was very clear. If they chose to take the initiative to attack, they would only end up dead. I've made up my mind. Lu Li was very clear about her identity. Since she had chosen to submit, there was no Lu Li sect anymore. There was only the Dragon Sect's branch. If that was the case, Longao was the one with the highest authority. She sighed deeply in her heart. Lu Li thought for a while, and finally chose to compromise. She asked Master, "What should we do now?" She smiled. In the middle of the night, 2 figures suddenly shot out from the Dragon Sect's branch. They were Longao and Lu Li. Their speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, their figures turned into 2 black dots, quickly disappearing into the dark night. Azura Palace. Xingdan and Xing were extremely depressed. Both of them never thought that at this time, the surrounding second-rate forces would join hands to deal with the Azura Palace. Facing enemies from all sides, the Azura Palace was in a passive position. All of this was because of Longao and the Lu Li sect. Otherwise, the Azura Palace would not have exposed their strength and attracted the attention of the surrounding second-rate forces. As the saying goes, 2 fists cannot fight against 4 hands. No matter how strong the Azura Palace was, it was impossible for them to fight against 10 people at once. Palace Master, what should we do about the Luli sect and Longao? Now is not the time to deal with Longao and the Luli sect. It's just a small Longao and the Luli sect. If we want to destroy them, it will be a matter of minutes. The most important thing now is to deal with the surrounding sects as soon as possible. Otherwise, once we fall into a passive position, it will be very troublesome. Just as the two were discussing what to do next, a man suddenly came in from outside. He was the second vice palace master of the Azura Palace, a peak god emperor warrior. Other than the two of them, he was also the most powerful person in the Azura Palace. Palace Master, things are not good. Our disciples are constantly decreasing, and the corpses are just outside the palace. Hearing this, both of them were shocked and instantly disappeared from the palace. Outside the palace, looking at the 20 or so corpses on the ground, no matter if it was the punishment list or the punishment list, both of their faces were extremely gloomy. No matter who did this, it was a provocation to them. Once this matter was spread out, where would the Azura Palace's face go? Do you know who did it? The second vice palace master shook his head and said helplessly, Palace Master, the person who came obviously did not want to fight us head-on. He just wanted to assassinate our divine Tao disciples, so we can't confirm his identity. Palace Master, do you think this was done by the Luli sect and Longao? Xingdan's first thought was Longao and the Luli sect. After all, according to the current situation, Longao and the Luli sect were the most suspicious. However, Xingdan shook his head and said with a cold smile, Longao and the Luli sect are not fools. It's impossible for them to choose to deal with us at this time. Seems like it's done by other sections. How dare you pull the teeth from the tiger's mouth? You're simply courting death. Since you can't wait to be destroyed, I'll fulfill your wish. Just wait for it. Xingdan did not put Longao and the Luli sect in his eyes. In his opinion, it was impossible for this to be done by Longao and the Luli sect. After all, the surrounding sects did not like them. Chapter 16-15. Cloud Valley, Purple Flame Sect. Among all the second-rate forces, these two sects were the ones who disliked the Azura Palace the most. The strength of the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame Sect was on par with the Azura Palace. With 2 against 1, the Azura Palace would have a hard time fending them off. Both the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame Sect had 2 Nirvana Realm martial artists. One had comprehended the heavens and the earth, while the other had comprehended the unity of heaven and man. The 2 sects had a total of 4 Nirvana Realm martial artists. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid. However, there was not much fear in the punishment. The reason was simple. Although the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame Sect seemed to be in an alliance, their relationship was actually quite bad. Otherwise, how could the Azura Palace be so relaxed when the 2 sects joined hands? They were defeated one by one. From Xing Fa's point of view, the person who assassinated his disciple was either from Cloud Rising Valley or the Purple Flame Sect. Outside Azura Peak, Elder Luli, if nothing unexpected happens, the Azura Palace will deal with the Cloud Valley or the Purple Flame Sect next. Luli didn't expect this outcome either. Master, I'm impressed that you're using others to do your dirty work. Get someone else to do the dirty work? Longao had never thought of killing someone with a borrowed knife. In his opinion, the reason he took the initiative to attack this time was to provoke the Punishment Palace, so that the Azura Palace would deal with him. This way, he would be able to save himself a lot of trouble. Longao didn't expect that Punishment didn't think that he was the one who did it. Instead, it was Cloud Valley or Purple Flame Sect. Man's plans were better than God's. However, this was also a good thing. If the Azura Palace were to really fight with the other 2 sects, then he would be able to watch the fire from the other side of the river and reap the benefits from it. Master, what should we do now? Let's wait and see. Their sect was suddenly ambushed, and more than 20 people died. Furthermore, they were all Supreme Tao martial artists. How could they swallow this grievance? However, Xing Fa wasn't a fool and wouldn't act recklessly. Once he angered Yungu and the Purple Flame sect, the two great sects would join hands. At that time, he would go for wool and come home shorn. Let's test them first. Before the punishment could be carried out, the Cloud Valley's Valley Master, Yun Luoshan, and the Purple Flame sect's Master, Zichuan, both sent word at the same time, saying that this matter had nothing to do with their sections. Daring and daring. The punishment was very clear. If this matter was really done by the two great sects, then Cloud Rising Valley and Purple Flame sect would definitely admit to it. During the Age of Chaos, you kill me, and I kill you. If it wasn't the Cloud Rising Valley or the Purple Ember sect, then who could it be? After thinking about it, in the end, Xing Fa locked his target on Luli sect and Longao, because other than the two of them, he really couldn't think of anyone else who had such a big grudge with him. Azura Palace. The Silent Hall was especially eerie. Master, are you saying that what happened before was done by Longao and Luli? It shouldn't be too bad. He seemed a little surprised. Xingdan thought for a moment before saying, Master, Lioli and Longao are so daring? If it were any other time, even if you gave them 10,000 guts, I believe they wouldn't dare. But at this time, Luli and Longao aren't easy to deal with. Don't even think about stepping on us to climb up. It didn't matter if this matter was done by Longao and Luli. Xing Fa had already decided. Master, what should we do? If we don't solve this matter, where will our face go? Especially at this time. From now on, spread the word that we will deal with Luli sect with all our strength. Whoever dares to cause trouble at this time, we will fight to the death. Yes. Xingdan immediately stood up and left the hall. As soon as Xingdan left, before Xing Fa could react, an old man appeared in front of him. Seeing the old man, Xing Fa was shocked. He immediately stood up and bowed respectfully. Greetings, old ancestor. The old man was none other than the Azura Palace's old ancestor, Xing Kuan. 10,000 years ago, Xing Kuan was born out of nowhere. Possessing great strength, Xing Kuan used cruel methods to sweep across the world. No one could defeat him. 10,000 years ago, Xing Kuan's cultivation had already broken through the Nirvana rebirth realm. However, because Xing Kuan's methods were too cruel, it caused many people to complain. In the end, Xing Kuan attracted the 10 old ancestors of the 10 directions to join forces and kill Xing Kuan. 1 against 10, no matter how strong Xing Kuan was, it was impossible for him to defeat 10 Nirvana Rebirth Realm warriors. The result was obvious. Xing Kuan was besieged, and because of this, everyone unanimously believed that the devil Xing Kuan from back then had fallen. If others were to see the fallen Xing Kuan suddenly appear here, who knew if it would shock the world? Xing Fa, what is this? Xing Fa didn't dare to hide anything. He told everything that had happened before. Kill. A simple word was enough to express the Azura Palace's intention. After all, in the Azura Palace, Xing Kuan was the god. No one dared to go against him. Outside the Azura Peak, after such a long time, Longao already knew that the situation was not good. He said helplessly, "It seems like this method of killing someone with a borrowed knife is not very effective. Elder Luli, let's continue to attack. I don't believe that the Azura Palace will continue to endure." After thinking for a while, Luli said worriedly, "Master, I wonder if you've heard of a person, Xing Kuan of the Azura Palace." Who was Xing Kuan? Longao knew nothing about this Xing Kuan mentioned by Luli. Master, Xing Kuan rose to power 10,000 years ago. He was from the same era as Jin Tian of the Sword Sect and Long Tian of the Long family. However, he seemed to be stronger. If it wasn't for Xing Kuan's cruel methods, he wouldn't have been besieged. However, Xingdan had said that Xing Kuan didn't fall and was reborn. He was startled. Longao knew Long Tian and Jin Tian's strength better than anyone else. Since Xing Kuan was from the same era as these people, then there was no doubt that Xing Kuan was also a Nirvana Rebirth Realm warrior. If he was still alive, then things would be troublesome. Longao never thought that the Azura Palace would have such a powerful person. The 10 Direction Tripod, Long Family, Dan Union, Martial Artists Alliance, Wanshou Sect, Heaven and Earth Sect, Five-Element Sect, Wanjan School, Sword Sect, Purple Thunder Sect, and Profound Heaven Sect. The biggest reason why they could dominate the Sky Martial continent was because each of the 10-direction tripod had a Nirvana Rebirth Realm warrior. If the Azura Palace really had such a powerful warrior, then even if their strength was weaker, the 10-direction tripod wouldn't dare to provoke the Azura Palace. After all, a Nirvana Rebirth Realm warrior could sweep across the world, and no one could defeat him. No wonder the Azura Palace wanted to get their hands on the 10-direction tripod. With the strength of a second-rate force, they couldn't compete with the 10-direction tripod. Getting their hands on the 10-direction tripod was the same as seeking death. However, with Xing Kuan in the Azura Palace, the impossible became possible. This was the power of a Nirvana Rebirth Realm warrior. Chapter 16:16. How could Longao not understand Lu Li's intention? Once Xing Kuan interfered in this matter, it would be troublesome. Longao knew clearly that there were some things that he had to do. If he was afraid of Xing Kuan and took a step back, the Azura Palace would definitely press on. If he took a step back, the Azura Palace would take a step forward. Lu Li, follow me. Lu Li was not a fool. Of course, she knew what Longao meant. The two of them were like two cheetahs. With two whooshing sounds, the two of them disappeared without a trace. In the following period of time, Longao and Lu Li were killing the disciples of the Azura Palace at their fastest speed. They were too lazy to deal with those below the Great Emperor realm. In just half an hour, hundreds of disciples of the Azura Palace had fainted. The two of them were too powerful. One was a peak God realm warrior, while the other was a Nirvana realm warrior who had comprehended the heaven and earth. The two of them were too fast. They came and went without a trace. In the 9 heavens, Punisher raised his head and looked at the two people in the air. His expression was extremely gloomy as he coldly said, Longao, Lu Li, the two of you really don't know what's good for you. You actually dare to provoke me. He sneered. Xingdu, if we didn't take the initiative to attack, I believe you would attack us soon. If that's the case, why don't we dare? Without waiting for Xingdu to speak, Longao continued, Xingdu, I can give you a chance now. Bring the Azura Palace and submit to the Dragon Sect. I can let bygones be bygones. Ha ha ha, with just you? Hearing this, Xing Dan and Xing laughed crazily, and everyone around them laughed as well. Their laughter was filled with disdain and ridicule, as if they had heard the funniest thing in the world. Courting death. As soon as Xingdu finished speaking, Xingdu and Xingdan had already rushed out. In the blink of an eye, the four of them were engaged in a fierce battle. In the 9 heavens, a shocking battle was taking place. Lu Li's cultivation had only reached the level of comprehending the heaven and earth. Once she encountered Xingdu, she would die. Of course, Longao wouldn't lose Lu Li for nothing. Thus, Lu Li fought against Xingdan, while Longao fought against Xingdan. A god emperor martial artist fought against a martial artist who was one with the world. Was this true? Looking at Longao fighting against the palace masters in the sky, everyone in the Azura Palace was dumbfounded, especially the 11 palace masters. Self-created martial technique, heaven and earthborn. With Longao as the center, a huge vortex of air suddenly appeared. Before punishment could react, he had already been sucked into the vortex. Inside the vortex, Longao and his Samsara doppelganger attacked each other fiercely. Wave after wave, like the waves of the sea, surging violently. Longao, I have to admit that your strength and talent are the best I've ever seen. But now, I'll tell you what the absolute gap between realms is. Punishment cultivated the power of Azura. When one's cultivation broke through to one with the world, he would condense his own heaven and earth domain. Punishment merged his Azura power into his heaven and earth domain, forming the Azura domain. Nirvana martial artists, especially those who broke through to one with the world, could defeat all other martial artists with their heaven and earth domain alone. Ordinary martial artists would die without a doubt when faced with the suppression of the heaven and earth domain. Except for Longao. He was an anomaly. Longao had the reincarnation sword, the most precious treasure of the reincarnation clan. Moreover, he cultivated the reincarnation sword art. The reincarnation sword light released could not only break the aura of heaven and earth, but also the heaven and earth domain, including the Azura domain. Holding the reincarnation sword tightly, Longao swung his sword a few times. The terrifying sword light instantly broke through the suppression of punishment's Azura domain. Shock. Incomparable shock. The Azura domain he released was broken? If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he wouldn't believe that a puny god emperor martial artist could break through his Azura domain even if he was beaten to death. Taking advantage of the situation. Although Longao knew that he couldn't win, he still took the initiative to attack. No matter when, he didn't like to be passive. However, Longao didn't come here to risk his life with punishment and Lu Li. After 30 rounds of battle, Longao and Lu Li left together. It was as if the two of them had discussed it beforehand. Looking at the two people who had already disappeared, the punishment master's face was filled with shock. Because until now, he still couldn't figure out how Longao was able to break through the Azura domain that he had released. Unless it was heavenly cycle multiplication, could it be that Longao was hiding his strength? Impossible. It was completely impossible. Longao's strength was obvious. Not to mention cycle multiplication, Longao hadn't even broken through to the heaven and earth domain. Master, Longao and Lu Li are provoking us. If we don't chase after them, I'm afraid. Waving his hand. Before Xingdan could finish his words, Punishment suddenly said excitedly, I really didn't expect Longao's divine sword to be able to break through my Azura domain. If only I could get my hands on that sword. After the battle just now, Xingdan was almost certain that the reason why Longao was able to break through his Azura domain was because of the divine sword. Xingdan's face revealed a strong greed. Not only Xingdan, even Xingdan who heard about this matter was extremely envious. Master, what should we do now? I keep feeling that something is wrong. Why did Longao and Lu Li provoke us out of the blue? Don't they have anything better to do? He cursed in his heart. However, since Punishment was the Azura Palace's palace master, he didn't dare to say anything. Looks like we have to test them out first. One couldn't help but admit that Punishment was very careful. If it was someone else, they would have already chased after them. Xingdan was one of them. Punishment had sent out 11 vice palace masters, all of whom were god emperors. With such strength, no one in the Lu Li sect would be a match for them unless Lu Li personally took action. Punishment and Xingdan followed closely behind. The 13 of them left the Azura Palace and headed towards the Lu Li sect, which was the headquarters of the Dragon Sect's branch. As soon as Punishment and the others left the Azura Palace, Longao and Lu Li received the news. Longao wasn't surprised by this result. Instead, it was Lu Li who was extremely worried. After all, the Azura Palace's strength was obvious. With Punishment and the 12 vice palace masters here, would they be able to withstand them? In the main hall of the Dragon Sect's branch, Sect Leader, Xing Fe and the others are already here. Can the formation we set up really hold them off? Although the Lu Li sect had submitted to the Dragon Sect, in Lu Li's heart, he didn't want his sect to suffer any losses. Although he trusted Longao, Longao was too young. His talent and strength were powerful. How could his formation be so powerful as well? It was impossible. If they let their guard down, they would fall into eternal damnation. P.S. The 8th chapter has been delivered. 2 more chapters will be updated at night. Xiaoju is going to rest for a while. Those who have votes, please vote for Longao. Xiaoju thanks. Chapter 16-17. They didn't believe him. Longao wasn't angry at all, because no matter who it was, they wouldn't choose to believe him. Elder Lu Li, let's wait and see. Looking at Longao's confident face, what else could Lu Li say? A few hours later, Xing and the others had arrived at the Lu Li peak. Master, what should we do now? Looking at the huge peak in front of him, Xing didn't know why, but he had an ominous feeling. Xingdan, you go in and check it out. Xingdan's expression changed when he heard the palace master asking him to enter the Lu Li peak. If he refused in front of so many people, wouldn't he lose face? After cursing in his heart, Xing Dan said with a calm face, "Palace Master, wait for my good news. Be careful." Without saying anything else, Xing Dan took a big step forward and dashed out like a whirlwind. In the blink of an eye, Xing Dan's figure had disappeared without a trace. Inside the Luli Peak. Currently, the Luli Peak was filled with terrifying formations. Not to mention Xing Dan, even Xing Xing and Nirvana Realm warriors wouldn't be able to leave easily once trapped in the formations. Halfway up the mountain, it was a spacious, flat land. There were rocks and weeds everywhere, just like a mass grave. "Longao, Luli, I'm here. Show yourself." Xing Dan is indeed heroic. Longao and Lioli appeared at the same time and looked coldly at Xing Dan in front of them. Longao did not have the slightest expression, but Lioli was very worried. Both of them had received the news that Xing Dan and the others were outside the peak, and only Xing Dan came in. Longao sneered in his heart. How could he not know Xing Dan's intention? In the end, Xing Dan was afraid of him, so he didn't dare to come in himself. Besides, Longao also admired Xing Dan. As expected of the Azura Palace's palace master, he was more careful than many people. "Longao, Luli, how dare you provoke the Azura Palace? Only death awaits you." Before the two of them could say anything, Xing Dan continued, "However, our hall master is magnanimous and can give you a chance. Tell me about it. As long as you're willing to submit to the Azura Palace, we can let bygones be bygones." He smiled and shook his head. Longao's face was full of mockery as he said disdainfully, "I don't know if you are naive or if I am deaf. Xing Dan, do you think that we will choose to submit?" No. Xing Dan knew this better than anyone else. "Luli, the Luli sect that you worked so hard to build, are you willing to give it to this person?" He should be willing. Since she had already made up her mind, Lioli would not regret it. "Lioli, I feel bad for you. Sowing dissension. How could Longao not know what Xing Dan meant? If it was someone else, they might have been fooled." However, Longao knew Luli more or less. Luli was quite a character. "Xing Dan, it seems that your sowing dissension is useless. You entered my dragon sect alone. Do you think you can leave smoothly?" Looking at the sinister smile on their faces, Xing Dan's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that they were prepared to deal with him? If that was the case, he would be in big trouble. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid. Xing Dan knew clearly that even if he had comprehended the heavens and earth, the other side also had someone who had comprehended the heavens and earth. Moreover, Longao's strength was not simple. It would be difficult for him to defeat the two of them alone. He cursed the hall master in his heart. Xing Dan was cursing himself in his heart. If it wasn't for his pride, he wouldn't have ended up like this. He couldn't advance or retreat. He was in a dilemma. "Are you afraid?" "Afraid?" Before Xing Dan could speak, Longao and Luli's figures suddenly disappeared. The array around them was activated immediately. The array was linked together, and a single move would affect the whole body. Array? Of course, Xing Dan knew that the array around them had been activated. It was because of this that Xing Dan was shocked. He never thought that the other party could set up an array. When did such a powerful array master appear in the Luli sect? Could it be Longao? Even so, Xing Dan still didn't care about the array around them. Although an array master was powerful, he had to be at a certain level. After all, a level 9 array master and an emperor-level array master were two different concepts. From the beginning to the end, no one was willing to believe that Longao was a god-level array master. Otherwise, Xing Dan wouldn't be so calm. 2 hours later, looking at the corpse on the ground, Luli was a little dumbfounded. Until now, he still hadn't realized that the array set up by the master had killed a Nirvana Realm cultivator. If that was the case, wouldn't the array set up by the master be able to kill him? "Master, what should we do now?" After the matter with Xing Dan, Longao's position in Luli's heart immediately rose. Luli knew very well that according to the power of the array, if there were no accidents, the master should be a god-level array master. Although it was a little unimaginable, the truth was right in front of him. He couldn't help but believe it. "I'm going to refine Xing Dan into a corpse slave. Wait for me here. Long Ao's figure immediately appeared in the dragon seal space. He looked at Long Fu and asked impatiently, Long Fu, how long will it take for you to refine a corpse slave that can comprehend the heavens and earth? Long Fu also knew the seriousness of the matter. He lowered his head and thought for a moment, then said, Master, the blood pool has already broken out of the seal. Although I can use the dragon seal to refine a corpse slave, the corpse slave refined will be very different from the one refined by the blood pool. How's its strength? It's about the same. However, Master, the refining speed will be slower. I've already calculated. Chapter 16-18. Outside the Luli Mountain. It had been a day and a night since Xingdan entered the Luli sect. Xingdan still hadn't come out. Did something happen to Xingdan? Although Xingdan was a little worried, he was still very clear about Xingdan's strength. It was almost impossible to kill Xingdan with just Longao and Luli. Under normal circumstances, Xingdan should have come out no matter what happened after entering the Luli sect. But what happened? What the hell happened? Time passed by slowly. The day was fading away and dusk was coming. Right at this moment, Xingdan's figure suddenly appeared. Seeing the figure coming from afar, Xingdan and the others were overjoyed. No matter what, it was good that Xingdan was fine. After all, a Nirvana Realm warrior was something the Azura Palace couldn't afford to lose. Palace Master. Xingdan, what happened in the Luli sect? Xingdan looked at Xingdan in front of him and was very curious. He could clearly feel that the aura emitted from Xingdan's body wasn't right. Palace Master, Longao and Luli set up a formation and trapped me inside. Formation? When did a formation master appear in the Luli sect? Xingdan knew the situation in the Luli sect very well. If that was the case, it was very simple. The sudden appearance of a formation master in the Luli sect seemed to be brought here by Longao. To be able to trap Xingdan for a day and a night, it already showed the power of the Luli sect's formation. Just as expected, Xingdan felt that something wasn't right. It seemed that his intuition was right. Palace Master, what should we do now? Xingdan was expressionless. After all, corpse slaves weren't real humans. They couldn't have human expressions. Before Xingdan could say anything, Xingdan, who was respectful just a moment ago, suddenly took a big step forward and punched out with both fists. The situation was too sudden. The 11 deputy palace masters didn't have time to react. Xingdan was very calm. He dodged to the left and steadily dodged Xingdan's fists. He sneered. Xingping turned his body sideways and struck Xingdan with his palm. Xingdan's body was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. But in the air, Xingdan forcefully turned around and stopped, unscathed. He was very shocked because punishment was very confident in the strength of his attack. Even Xingdan would not be able to take it head-on. Xingdan, are you crazy? The second vice palace master had a very gloomy expression on his face. That was because no one knew exactly what was going on with Xingdan and why she would suddenly attack them. Could it be that Xingdan had betrayed them? It didn't seem very likely, because the difference in strength between the Azura Palace and the Luli sect was too big. Not to mention Xingdan, no matter who it was, they wouldn't choose the Luli sect and give up on the Azura Palace. Punishment's face was also very gloomy. Staring coldly at Xingdan, Xingdan suddenly said, Longao, Azurite, since you didn't achieve your goal, shouldn't you show yourself? Ha ha ha, punishment, you're really amazing. Looking at the two people slowly walking towards him, the punishment officer's face grew increasingly gloomy. Longao was also quite surprised. According to his estimates, after Xingdan had been refined into a corpse slave, there was a high chance that he would be able to kill Xingdan in a sneak attack. After all, Xingdan would not expect Xingdan to suddenly attack. However, the result was beyond his expectations. It seemed like Xingdan wasn't a simple person. The more it was so, the more helpless Longao felt. Since they didn't manage to kill Xingdan this time, it wouldn't be easy for them to find another opportunity in the future. Corpse slave? According to the legends, Longao was able to refine corpse slaves, and with his corpse slave army, He had always been invincible. Xingdan was almost certain that Xingdan was definitely refined into a corpse slave by Longao. It was precisely because of this that he was very shocked, because Xingdan's strength was right there. How exactly did Longao and Luli do it? It seems like the corpse slaves I've refined are quite famous. Punishment. I believe you've seen Xingdan's strength. With your strength, you won't be able to break through Xingdan's defense. What do you think will happen if Xingdan attacks the Azure Palace? There was no answer. That was because, of course, Xingdan knew what would happen once he entered the Azure Palace with Xingdan's current strength and powerful defense. Punishment was very depressed. He didn't expect that he would become the passive one when he was the one taking the initiative. Longao, what do you want? Seizing the initiative, Longao said with a smile, my condition is very simple. From now on, the Azure Palace and Longao will mind their own business. I won't stop you. I hope you won't bother me again. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Longao was very clear about the strength of himself and the Longao's branch. At this moment, fighting the Azure Palace head-on was like hitting a rock with an egg. As the saying goes, revenge is a dish best served cold. When the Longao's branch grew stronger, it wouldn't be too late to deal with the Azure Palace. How could Punishment not understand Longao's intention? Should he just give up like this? Punishment's heart was filled with endless unwillingness, because Longao was too unpredictable. With Longao's talent and potential, he believed that his future would be bright. When that time came, once Longao grew stronger, would he and the Azure Palace still have a chance to survive? If he didn't remove the roots now, it would grow again in the future. He couldn't agree, but he also couldn't refuse. Longao, you're too arrogant. Right at this moment, a faintly discernible voice suddenly sounded. Then, an old man appeared out of thin air. He had a smile on his face, but it was a very treacherous smile. Ancestor. Looking at the old man who appeared in front of them, the Punishment 12 immediately bowed respectfully. Xing Kuan? From Luli's words, Longao already knew who Xing Kuan was. The ancestor of the Azure Palace, Xing Kuan, had become famous 10,000 years ago. He was a Nirvana reborn warrior, and his strength was even higher than Long Tian. According to Luli, Xing Kuan's strength was even stronger than the myriad beast's ancestor. 10,000 years ago, he was known as the #1 warrior under the heavenly Tao. However, after Xing Kuan's fall, the title of #1 warrior under the heavenly Tao was given to the myriad beast's ancestor. One could imagine just how powerful Xing Kuan's strength was. Xing Kuan looked at Xingdan, who was not far away. It would be a lie if he said he wasn't surprised. After all, if he didn't see it with his own eyes, even he wouldn't believe it. Longao, I don't have any problems with the conditions you just mentioned. Ancestor. Punishment 12 was shocked when he heard the ancestor agree. He didn't expect the ancestor to really agree. However, Xing Kuan waved his hand and said with a smile, I know what I'm doing. Don't say anything. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.